Hi there, it's your second favorite DP right here, okay? No, that's Deadpool, you silly little Hufflepuff. Anyways, I'm gonna need you to shut up that pretty little mouth of yours and pay attention because the show's about to start, alright? And, I don't know about you, but I know who's my vote for sexiest ex-soldier turned pop culture show host. Alright, enough foreplay, let's get on with the show.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome one and all. Today is March 21st, 2023. This is episode 127 of Pop Culture Warrior. It's the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture so you don't have to. I'm CQ, I'm the Pop Culture Warrior, and joining me tonight is apparently one of your guys' favorite special guest co-host. He's the Marine with the mouth, which that's, kind of what we call an oxymoron. Guys, he's the man in the bubble for tonight. Please welcome Mr. Mad Mike. Hey.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going, man?
Good.
Thanks for taking the time off your busy schedule to join us here tonight.
Fitting you in.
Yes.
Always.
Oh man.
This Is Us was canceled, so Tuesdays are free.
Anytime This Is Us isn't on, you have the opportunity to be here. We appreciate it. We surely appreciate it. Oh man, we got so much to cover. Quick hey to everybody joining us. I know there's a lot of you out there. If you're watching, toss a hey. That way I can hey you back. You know, that's how this works. If you don't say hi, I don't know you're there. And I'd love to say hi to you. Thank you for joining, of course. I see Angry Elves hanging out with us as always. James Prance, what's up, brother? We got Pete. We got G.I. Low in the building. Love me some G.I. Low, man. How you doing, Pete? And the other Pete. Thank you guys for tuning in. Yancey, hi. Gary, hi. See, when you guys say hi, I can see you, and then I know you're watching, and I say hi back. Patrick says howdy. Howdy, Patrick. Welcome to the show. Lots to talk about, man. Lots to talk about. But before we do, quick plug of our new merch shop, pcwgear.com. Check it out. I got one of the, I don't know how well it's going to come across the screen. Hold on, let me put this in. Check that out. Check that out. Look at that. Come on. Got my own little CQ swag. If you want to get yourself a CQ hat or a Pop Culture Warrior shirt or a bunch of other really cool stuff, check out pcwgear.com. pcwgear.com. Also, it was right here. Somebody gave me the idea, and I wish I could remember who it was, because I would thank you. It was such a great idea. Because I have these Pop Culture Warrior shirts. I have an alt design. I have a bunch of things. But somebody said, can you make the shirt that the little soldier dude's wearing? So like with kind of the Superman-esque symbol with the CQ in it. I'm like, oh shit, I never thought to actually make that shirt an actual shirt you can buy. Well, guess what? They're there now. They're there. You can actually buy those shirts. So pcwgear.com, you can get one of those shirts, one of these shirts, not one of the shirts Mad Mike's wearing, but that's okay. His order is on, it's on back order. You know, he's got to get the
Zero Foxtrot. You can go there. He was a 2-7 Marine.
No, I'm gonna bleep that out in the replay. You can't be plugging other shit.
Go to PCW.
What's up? What's up, Heath? How you guys doing? Jeff, hey, what's going on, Jeff? And Greg, I see you, man. Happy Tuesday to you too. So now that
on the Facebook page for that store?
Wait, say what?
Is there a link for that on Facebooks or whatever?
If you go into any of the bios, it has a link to all the links. So if you go to the bio, whether you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or YouTube or wherever, there should be a bio link in the Pop Culture Warriors stuff that can link you to the merch stores. It's
if
dude,
you know
it's
how
so
to work
easy.
the internet.
PCW
Not for us. Not for us Marines. We don't know how to work the internet.
It's fucking easy, man. It's fucking easy. Hey, Charles, how you doing, bud? So yeah, so much, man, dude. First off, we got a huge, magnanimous, amazing guest joining us. Not guest co-hosts, actual guest, celebrity, just guest. Mr. John Carroll Lynch is going to be joining us later today. He is, if you don't know him by name, you absolutely know him by face and by his performances. He's been in a million different things that you love, that you know, to name a few: Fargo, The Founder, Zodiac, Bubble Boy, what else?
Drew Carey Show.
The Drew Carey Show, American Horror Story.
Everything you've ever seen.
Big Sky, yeah. Anything you could do. He did an episode of Walking Dead, man. He's an amazing guy. I'm so excited tonight to talk to him. God bless the guy. Quick side story. We have been going back and forth, me and him and his team. When I reached out immediately, within a day, they were like, yes, he wants to do it. Awesome. This was back in October of last year. And God bless him, because he was like, yes, I'll do it. So we found a date. You know, as you'll learn in this interview, he's an incredibly busy guy. So it got bumped. Understandable. You know, he's a working guy. You know, when they call for reshoots and things like that, you don't have a choice. You drop everything. And then we scheduled it again, and then there was another conflict, and we scheduled it again, and there was another conflict. But him and his team have always been like, look, we're so sorry. When's your next open date? We'll take it. And so it's been a journey to get here. I think it was like 26, 27 emails back and forth. It's been a journey to get here, but we are here. It is happening. God bless him. He tweeted it out just about an hour and a half ago. He tweeted out that he's going to be on the show. So I'm excited, man. I'm super, 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 super excited. And we're very happy.
What, 15 viewers today?
We've tripled our numbers.
From 5 to 15. We're making a big time.
This is it, man. We're tripling. Angry Elf says, is there a link to the link of the links? Can you put the link in the links in the link to the links in the comments? Yeah, I'll work on that. I'll get one of my people to link the link to the links.
on that.
Yeah, exactly. But okay. All that being said, I guess the biggest pop culture news, the biggest thing to come out in pop culture this past week was the release of Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods. I've seen it. Have you seen it?
Yep.
You have. Okay, excellent.
Of course.
I usually, so there's something I love to do is I go see a movie. I walk back to the car and I'm thinking about the movie, and I sit down in the car and I do a quick live, and I just record it, and I'll just do like a car review. Like what are my initial thoughts leaving the theater? This one I didn't do it. Half the reason, it was kind of a lunch date with my wife, and we were too busy smooching in the car. We were too busy rushing back from the movie, but also just I wasn't sure how I felt about this movie. I felt so right down the middle that it kept, like, every time I made a thought, it would teeter one way or the other of whether I liked it or I didn't like it. And so I was like, you know what? I just need time to process. So first, before I weigh in with my thoughts, what have you? And by the way, if anybody's in the chats has seen it, let me know in the chats. What do you think? Give it a rating 1 to 10, good, bad. Let me know what you think, and I'm curious. But go ahead, Mad Mike. What are your thoughts?
I liked it. Well, I thought it was okay. I took the kids, 13 and 9. They loved Shazam, the first one. And so they had to see this one, it was entertaining. It was good for a DC movie. It's kind of like Ant-Man is what I compare it to. It's kind of an obscure, well, he's popular in DC, but he's kind of obscure character, mediocre. And I think the first one, they did a really good job with it, kind of making it more humorous. If they were trying to be serious, nobody would have watched that movie. But this one, uh, I don't know. They kind of followed the same routine, like comedy, that type of stuff. It's just I don't. It's Greek god villains, and those I don't know. They're just not my thing. When I see those, I'm like, meh. You got so many other villains you could use, and it's like, well, I control the elements. I'm like, okay, cool. Guy's got superhuman strength. Let him punch you in the face. But I would give it like, I don't know. It was entertaining. The kids loved it. They thought it was the best thing ever. I would give it like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I went back and forth like you did too. I'm like, in the theater, it's hard to gauge because you're like, this is cool. It's like, well, I don't know. And then afterward, you're like, was it really cool? I don't know. But I felt like they try to stick to the same formula. They added a lot of humor in. The serious parts were kind of like fell flat. Helen Mirren, I think they just added her because they had a huge budget and they're like, we need a big name. But her performance wasn't much. I mean, she maybe had like 15 lines in the movie. And I don't honestly, I think she did a better job in 1923 than she did in this movie. But
isn't she also in like the upcoming Fast and Furious movie, or was that a different old white lady?
Everyone's in that movie. Yeah.
I get my old white ladies confused sometimes.
They just pay everyone to be in that. I don't know. It's like the Spider-Verse of crappy movies.
So you said you give it like a 6 or a 7? Was that what you said?
I give it like 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Okay. All right. Yeah. You know, I've been struggling with this because of the DC movies, I think the first Shazam was one of my favorites. I thought they really
they crushed it.
Yeah, and I don't want to say like, oh, they pulled a Marvel because it's not all doom and gloom, but like that's the character. He's a kid, he's goofy, he's figuring things out. It's silly, it's fun, it's playful, and all these things. Well, first let's look statistically. It earned 30 million domestically with a worldwide total of about 64.7 in its opening weekend. Now, that's not much considering it was estimated around 110 to 120 million to make. So it made half of it.
Made like 35 million though in the first weekend.
True, but obviously sequels we expect to do well. That's talking dollars and cents.
What was the budget? Do you have that?
Like how much it cost to make?
Or something?
120.
Yeah, what did they spend? 120.
Yeah. So they pulled in about half of the expected budget opening week. Now, it's not bad as long as it trends well. If it has a serious dip, week 2 to 3 to 4, which this week, John Wick Chapter 4 comes out, and it's being touted as a perfect 10. That's what that early reviews are calling it, a perfect 10, in the action movie genre. It's not like Schindler's List or anything, but in the action movie genre, it's being given a perfect 10. So that might really eat out the money flowing in for Shazam. But again, that's an R-rated movie. Maybe, as people are looking for family-friendly things, like you said, which funny enough, the star of Shazam 2, Zachary Levi, literally went on Twitter and was not really, I don't want to say defending the movie, but he was saying he thinks it was hurt through the marketing and that it wasn't really marketed as like, hey, this is a family film, which, I mean, that was the whole push behind the first Shazam. So you would think people remember from a couple years ago, but whatever. obviously, I think a lot plays into it too. So this is why, like, my mind's all over the place of it, because you have to compare it as just a movie, much like in the Marvel franchise. You have to compare it as its own movie, its sequel to its original, but then the universe as a whole, right? Like that's
Right.
just the barometer we have to compare it to. Which is why I like the first Shazam, because it stood out on its own and it did its own thing, and it still played within that universe well. In this one, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's definite ties to the DC universe as a whole, including an actual appearance by a DC. Although, were you weirded out by? I don't want to spoil it. The appearance made by a DC regular. Were you weirded out by that appearance? Because it turns out it was deep faked. It wasn't
was it
even.
really?
Yeah,
It looked,
wasn't.
yeah, it did look
It
weird. I
looked
was like,
weird,
why is it
right?
going on? Like, why? And I was
Yeah,
like, whatever. I guess they took the money and they just did it. But
there
that
was
makes
an.
sense now that it was
Yeah,
all CGI or whatever.
yeah. It was. There was an
Because the first
actor.
time you just see the back
Yeah. Oop, I think you're.
and you're like,
Yeah.
oh. But it was it was like Star Wars when they bring
Yeah.
back Leia and stuff. Like her face
Yeah.
was kind of not moving right.
So yeah, there was a physical actor on set, but then they like CGI'd the face out, in the obvious scene and the not so obvious scene. So I mean, I don't know. There was that. Greg says, for what it was supposed to be, it was good. It wasn't meant to be a Dark Knight movie. I was wondering, is this going to tie into the new DC plans going forward? That's a great point. And again, this is why, so to my point of how does it mend well with the universe around it, they had to do, like, they're not making a big deal out of it, but they had to do some changes. This movie was supposed to follow The Flash. The Flash was supposed to come out first. And as it's well established, The Flash is going to change the landscape of DC moving forward. So this was supposed to be post-Flash, post-changes, because like a lot of people were saying, like, why does the suit look a little bit different? Like he doesn't have the hood that he did in the first one, which is more of the classic look. And there was like slightly differences here and there. And like one of the writers was like, post a Flash, there's supposed to be ripples that have changed, like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
So that was supposed to be
The
kind of
Flash-
explained away of what was left of that ripple. But now because the Flash comes out after, there's just changes for the sake of changes. And so they had to change some of the story. The other thing, and this I think is really interesting. Everybody knows the whole fiasco between, The Rock, Black Adam, and that whole mess of things. And if you know the comic books, Black Adam is the antagonist of Shazam. Like that's his major guy. They go head to head. Zachary Levi went on record. It was an interview years ago where, like, as soon as they announced Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam, he was like, "That's awesome. I'm going to get to go toe to toe with The Rock in a Shazam movie and this and this and that." Obviously, it never came to fruition because The Rock wanted to go toe to toe with Superman. That was his big push. So it turns out, and this was said by the director. Initially there were supposed to be some other cameos that never got approved. And again, I don't want to spoil anything. There's a post-credit scene, obviously, the first one. And Shazam is approached by members of, so whatever. You know what? I don't care. If you haven't seen it at this point, you're not going to go see it. So he was approached by members of Waller's team to be recruited to the Justice Society. Now, per the director, this is from the director and one of the writers, the scene was originally shot. It was supposed to be people from Black Adam. It was supposed to be members of the actual Justice Society showing up and recruiting him. Same gimmick of like, oh, I thought it was the Justice League, but it was actual people we have seen as members of Justice Society. Days before shooting, set has been built. Everybody's good to go. It was shut down by a certain someone who had creative control. It's obvious it was The Rock. He shut it down. Also, there was supposed to be an appearance of Black Adam in the Shazam movie. That was shut down. Wow. If you there's a lot of, background of what happened and who didn't do what and what was supposed to happen. But needless to say, yeah, he shut down any appearance of his characters in this universe, and so they had to scramble. And literally last minute, the director said days before shooting, he calls those actors, or he called one of the producers of Peacemaker, and he's like, "Hey, is there any way we can tie this into Waller and Justice Society and whatever?" And they called up the actor and actress that's there, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll do it." And that's how that whole thing happened. So, it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a mess, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's a shame. I do give it a strong 6, almost a 7. I think it's not a bad movie. It's just kind of like you touched on the villains very much. You know what it felt like? Like an episode of Power Rangers. It felt like villains of the week. You know what I mean?
Right.
They didn't feel daunting
he fought is it Mark Strong or whatever in the first one?
Yeah.
And then that's like his main villain in the comic books. And you come back and you got like these, they're kind of like villains of the week, like you said. And it's like,
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because and you also touched on it. You have powerhouses in Helen Mirren, in Lucy Liu. And I don't know, it felt a little bit B movie. It felt a little bit
like watching The Rock and Black Adam. They were just like straight face, like monotone lines, like there's no acting in it. They could have got anyone to do those roles.
It was very hammy. It reminded me, remember, like the 1966 Batman. It was very, we're gonna get you, Batman. Like even shit, that was too much energy. Like, we're gonna get you, Batman. Like it was just very flat. There never felt dire consequences. It didn't do anything interesting with the genre. I saw somebody put something about how superhero fatigue is really setting in and things like that. And I go, I don't think that's true. I think we just expect more, because take this movie, drop it in 2006 or 7, like next to like the original Spider-Man 2 or X-Men 2. This is a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
This
is a $500 million movie.
Yeah.
You drop it after like Fantastic Four or one of those.
My God.
Like
Oh my
Daredevil, they would have swept the floor.
Yeah, they would have been like the incredible storytelling, incredible world building, incredible characters. We've just when we have an Avengers Endgame, we now expect so much more, or go a step down. A Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, well, that's bringing different generations. So go a step down. Put it against movies like Black Panther, the first one. Doctor Strange, the first one. These were movies.
The first one.
Yeah, these were movies that were taking the superhero genre, but still moving it forward, trying things, doing things, having something to say. In the first Shazam movie, it really was like, hey, this is about finding family, being lost, knowing yourself, knowing your worth. This one was like, what was the message?
It's
togetherness.
Kind of the same, but not. It was the same family thing, but they Fast and the Furious 8 it or whatever, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 of them. It's just like, it's family, and it's like, okay,
it's all
we're
about
played
family.
out. I didn't come here to see that turd of a movie.
Yeah, and
I want to see.
There were too many threads. So you have this guy, and now he's his girlfriend, who's the bad guy. What a twist! I literally leaned over to as the character's introduced in the movie. I leaned over. I went, "She's a bad guy," without even knowing.
One of
I didn't
the bad
know.
Guys, yep.
It was so telegraphed. And then there was this thread of like they're gonna not want me because I'm turning 18, which is mentioned twice in the whole movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2 times they said it, and then it was like they tried to make a big deal about it. And I'm like, what?
Like, wow, what a moment. And this is why I think a lot of rewriting happened, because this is what you see when A, there's a lot of rewriting, and B, there's a lot of editing post because of different elements. You get these weird half storylines and threads that go nowhere. My wife leans over to me at one point because the dad yells out, he's like, "Oh no, my house, we just paid for that." And she leaned over, she's like, is that important? Like, is that something that came up? And I'm like, no, that never came up before, never came up again after.
It was not important. Like, we just bought the house. It's like we all thought you owned that
We
house.
thought you owned
We
it by
didn't
now.
care,
You know?
honestly. I don't give a shit.
Uh,
It's been getting struck by lightning.
Yeah, right.
It'd
That's
been
your
better if they're
concern.
like, my insurance premiums are triple.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because you keep making claims.
Put weight on it. It's like we got this letter, and after all these lightning strikes, they think we're doing this. Our insurance has been canceled, and then
Yeah, and then
you're
it
like,
blows
oh
up.
no.
Yeah.
Then that has weight to it. But otherwise, it's just a line for the sake of, I don't know, a line.
To give the dad a line. He only had a few, but
Yeah,
and then with the whole thing where they're like, "Oh, he doesn't call me mom; he calls me Rosa," which they mentioned like twice too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
whatever.
and it didn't feel
It's like you said. I
earned.
think they just edited the hell out of it post to try to make, because they already filmed it, and then The
Yeah.
Rock blew it up, and they're like, "We got to make money somehow. We paid all this money for this movie."
Yeah, and
It's a shame because I think that would have been a really good DC property, but I don't know if it's going to make enough for them to make a third one.
And
I don't know if James Gunn wants to make a third one.
there was this thing too of I don't know. And you see it in some of the trailers too, so it's not really a spoiler. But as his suit's getting damaged, it's turning black.
Yeah,
And
it was
by
like
the
Black
end of
Adam.
it, it's fully black. And I went, that had to for it to go nowhere. It literally went nowhere, and boom, suit's fixed. Like that had to be something tied to Black Adam that ended up getting nixed. But they're like, well, all the visuals are already done, so leave it in, but don't explain it. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just had to cut around it because like,
there was no other point for that other than to introduce the Black Adam.
Yeah.
But,
Ben Kim says, underscores the importance of having consistent creative leads with a clear vision of the studio roadmap. Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're the director of a solo movie, you can make it do whatever you want with no consequences. But when you're trying to tell a universe of stories in one clear linear fashion, there has to be communication and collaboration left and right, up and down. And with DC lately, it just feels like everybody's just running off and doing their own thing. And
we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, and now James Gunn has to inherit this sloppy mess, which is why he said, "Hey, we're putting the pause, we're restructuring everything," and they laid out the new game plan. Whether or not they're going to release Aquaman 2 early secret screenings are reporting that it is horrible. Again, I'm not saying this; I'm just what I'm reading. People are walking out of the free screening of Aquaman 2 because it's so bad.
Have you seen the first one?
I mean, I did.
It was terrible.
I see all movies.
It's Aquaman. They made fun of it in Entourage for like 10 seasons. And then you make a movie and everyone's like, this is great. And it's like, no, it was terrible. He's a fish. At least throw in a cat to take him out like Marvel did. Like, I mean, he could have little wing boots. I mean, that was pretty lame, but
hey, those little wing boots, they fly.
I've never. It's
so yeah,
ridiculous.
it's unfortunate.
But they needed. That's what DC needed all along, was the Kevin Feige. Now they got the James Gunn to squash that stuff. So when they're like doing Shazam, where they're like, we want Black Adam, and The Rock's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then you got the James Gunn to be like, you're going to do it. We're not going to. We'll find somebody else because we want Black Adam in Shazam.
We'll replace you.
You need that person, that yes or no guy, the boss.
Yeah, you need somebody who.
That's why Marvel's successful. And DC's just like, nah, we'll throw it out, and if it makes a lot of money, we'll make another one, and hopefully, we'll get a fat check, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually, we'll lose fans, and we'll wait 5 years, and then we'll rehash the same crap over again.
Reboot the franchise.
Do it again. That's their, that's what they do. That's their motto.
And look, I trust James Gunn as a filmmaker, as a director. We'll see how he is as the lead of the entire studios. We'll see. But like when someone goes, we're going back to the drawing board, we want to bring something fresh, we want to bring something new, we want to bring something you haven't seen, and our first two movies are going to be Superman and Batman. And it's like, oh,
Oh,
Okay.
you only done that 30 times.
Okay. New and fresh. Got it. Again,
Yeah.
new versions, new takes on them. Sure. But if
Your two biggest characters, which everyone's tired of seeing. It's like start out small. They could have done a Shazam or well, they already did it, but start out smaller with
something like that.
lesser known.
Yeah.
I don't
The
know.
way James Gunn took Guardians of the Galaxy, give other people time to shine. And they're releasing they're going to finally do Green Lanterns. They're going to do a Waller miniseries because you know how much of us love Waller and want more Waller. And of course there's going to be another Peacemaker season because it's James Gunn, so he gets to pick whatever he wants. Let me ask you this. I'm torn because again, I like James Gunn as a creator, as a writer, as a director, as the head of this thing, and he's plotting it all out. For him to go, our first big movie is going to be a new look at Superman, and I'm going to direct it, and I'm going to write it. And it's like, should your lead guy, the visionary, the one that's road mapping this whole thing, should he be on the ground? Should he be, it's a general leading the charge on the front lines, which inspire the men, but also gets the general killed.
Yeah. I wouldn't let him do. That's too much. You got too much going on, and you're trying to plot out all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's why you never. I don't know the guy's credits, but that's why Kevin Feige's never done anything other than have his name as producer on every Marvel film. That's a lot of work. Yeah. You're managing multiple storylines, multiple properties. That's a job in itself. And now you're gonna direct, write, and amongst other things, I'm sure he's doing episodes of the Peacemaker and all this other stuff.
He's mapping.
It's like you're not giving your whole attention to the whole universe, and then it's like, well, I did this, and then we got to carry this storyline on in all these other films now because I did a good job and I made a lot of money. I think it's a recipe for failure. Hire somebody else. You don't see Mandalorian. Guy's name. Favre. Yeah,
Favre and Filoni.
They put him in charge of that whole universe, and he does maybe one episode he'll direct here and there of all the shows, but you don't see him doing every episode and all that. Yeah, it's the same thing with Iron Man's. He started off one shot. I guess it worked out for him, but he wasn't in charge of all of Marvel. But he had the one movie, and then they're like, "This is great. Let's create a whole universe around it."
Yeah. Well, let's see. So William says, "You are Superman or Batman? Which of the two?" I'm assuming you're saying which one do you prefer, Superman or Batman? I like Batman. I've never been a big Superman fan because it's just not fair. He has all the powers. He has everything.
He's a tool. He's a big tool.
He has all the power, and and this is kind of why I've been a Marvel fan for most of my life. I feel like the DC, they're gods. Their superhero are literal gods. Even Batman, while not, meta-human, is still a god of technology, of fighting, of stealth, of detective work. So he's god level. Like every one of their characters is god level. Superman being the god of all gods. He's the Zeus. And it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't give me something
not entertaining.
I can't connect to that in any other way. You know what I mean? Whereas you look at like a Spider-Man or a Wolverine who, yes, badass superhuman heroes, but they have faults. They have character flaws. They have problems. Spider-Man can't pay his rent. Wolverine's a functioning alcoholic. Iron Man's a functioning alcoholic.
It's also limited abilities. Like you got they all have one or two powers.
Yeah.
Superman has he can do everything. Yeah. He's like every character they have combined in one. And it's
and then like in Wonder Woman 1984. It's like being a
Patriots fan with Brady. It's like nobody likes that shit.
In Wonder Woman 1984 it was like, oh, Wonder Woman can just fly now. Like fuck it. Why not? She's got every other power. I guess she can fly. She's again god level. So if I'm gonna go between Superman and Batman, I'm gonna lean more towards Batman because at the end of the day, he's a human,
normal person
making it work. I mean, he's got
He
everything
worked
in his
for what he
favor.
has. I mean, he's
Yeah.
super rich, but he had
It
to
works
do
for
some
what he
work
has.
to
He
get where he
inherited
went.
it when his parents were killed, where he hadn't worked a day in his goddamn life, other than like
He
martial
had
arts
enough
training.
money to work to do his ninja stuff and his detective work. All right.
Charles says, I nominate CQ to take over DC. Fuck no. I would not take that job. Oh, well, I don't know.
I'll do it.
You
I'd
pay me
do it.
enough. You pay me enough. I'll take it.
Even if you just pump out the same stuff, you're still
I was
making
gonna
a ton of money.
We're gonna re-release Batman '89. Like
Yeah.
it's coming to
We're
theaters.
bringing
like,
back
just-
Keaton.
we're gonna
Give the fans what they
CGI.
want.
We're gonna CGI Chris Reeves. We're releasing Superman 6. From Beyond the
Superman vs.
Grave.
Batman, Christopher Reeves versus Michael Keaton.
CGI them both. Yeah, so don't give me the thing. Greg says Peacemaker's the best thing that they put out in recent memory. I do think that's true. It's been a while since they've done something of that caliber. So we do have that. I see our guest has joined us rather early. God bless you, sir. We're gonna hang there for a bit, and we'll be with you soon. What else? One of the things. So DC. I mean, like I people think like, oh, it's one or the other. Like I want them to succeed. Give me a good Superman movie. Give me a good Batman movie. Give me, like I said, Shazam. I think Shazam 1 was great. I think Wonder Woman, the first one, was great.
Copied Captain America on that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's not something copying something else at this point? I mean, there's an argument to be said that everything has been done at some point. Everything has been played out and whatnot. So there is that, but they have had they've had successes. The universe as a whole is a bit dark. It's a bit brooding and just depressing, honestly, a little bit. Like we go to superhero movies to be uplifted and to be like, root for the good guy. And it's when it's like, it's just super depressing. It's like, life is hard enough. Give me something to cheer about. Life is miserable and horrible, and there's so much ugly. Like, give us a champion, a flawed champion for sure, but give us a champion. Iron Man was a huge asshole. I mean, let's be honest, he was a huge tool right up to the end. And Captain America was a Boy Scout. You know what I mean? He was too good for his own, good. All that, like nuanced characters is what makes it. What else? There was another story I wanted to talk to you about too. I know you're a fan of what's that game? Dead by Daylight, right? You've
Yes.
played it, you know it, you're aware of it. It's a great series. I mean, it really sprung out of nowhere and grew to something massive. I think they're celebrating 5-6 years, I think, since the release, and still one of the most played games.
10. I think it's 10.
Is it 10? No, it can't be 10 already.
It's been out for a long time.
All right, well, I'll double check the numbers on that. But either way, they've talked about continuing the universe and expanding it outside of just a game. They've talked about books. They've talked about comics, a series possibly. Well, news is coming out that there is going to be a film adaptation done from Atomic Monster and Blumhouse Pictures, the two movie powerhouses, saying they're going to expand the multiplayer survival horror game universe. They haven't quite gone into detail about how they envision this coming out. Obviously, there's a ton of lore behind the game. There's a ton of history there. I know both you and me have played the game. What do you think about? Because there's really not a story per se when you play the game. For those that don't know, it's a 4v1 asymmetrical horror game. You have 4 survivors, 1 killer, and they're trying to survive. He's trying to kill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You escape, but it just resets over and over and over. It's like perpetuity, hell in perpetuity. It's limbo, so to speak. So how do you see that playing out in a movie, so to speak?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like any other horror story, though, and that's what the game's so popular, and that's one of the things they did good over the years was they added actual like killers from the movies we watched, like Ghostface,
The licensed
Texas,
characters.
yeah, and that's what made it so even more popular and was able to bring them in a bunch of money. But as a movie itself, I mean, you repair generators to escape, so they would have to do something where they're in like a building trying to escape from a killer. And they have some original villains, killers as they call them, that they could do good work with, but I don't know if it would make a good movie. As as much as I love the game, I just don't see it as a good movie.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
would be
yeah.
like Saw, and they're in the Saw room. Like it would be kind of like that, where they're trying to escape, someone's trying to kill them. I don't know. I would have to know more. I don't see how they're going to work it in, and honestly, I don't think it would be good.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. You're exactly right, because we've talked about this week in and week out about how do you take an established property, something that's well known, well loved, and give it to the audience in a way, because there's something visceral about playing the game, right? Like, I am the character, I'm controlling the actions, versus the viewership experience of sitting down and I'm like, I would never do that. What that character's doing, you know what I mean? So it's like there's that disconnect. So you obviously lose the magic, and we've seen it fail time and time again. Whether it's Resident Evil, whether it's
Dungeons and Dragons.
we'll see.
Doom.
We'll see how that's going to work out. But there's tons of examples where the properties that you would think like, hey, it's mapped out for you. All you got to do is just put it on film, and it doesn't come to bear. But now we've seen it work well, right? The Last of Us has broken the mold, has put it on the map of like, this is it. This is the pinnacle of taking something we love and putting it out in a way that we appreciate.
But that's also an original story. Like that's a good game to make onto a movie. It's not the movie would be them repairing generators in a hospital trying to escape. And it's like, why is there gas generators inside of a hospital? This goes against being in a hospital. Like, everyone has carbon monoxide. I don't know why nobody gets healed in this hospital.
Okay, so to be fair, okay, you say, well, that it was made, it was perfect, it was ripe to be made into a video, right?
Mm-hmm.
I challenge you with Uncharted. Uncharted was a game that people were like, this is a movie. This is a movie with playable action sequences. This couldn't be any easier to make into a show or a movie. And how that turned out, because I love Tom Holland. I love Mark Wahlberg. That movie was not indicative of what we would expect from an Uncharted movie.
Well, it was a money grab. And honestly, I like Mark Wahlberg too, but he's not a very good actor. I mean, he just throw Maniacs the same way in every movie he's in.
All right, so add Mark Wahlberg. Everybody, add Mark Wahlberg to the list of actors that will never be on this show because my co-hosts like to shit talk them.
He would never be on here. Well, if you give him $10 million, he'll do anything like that movie. I mean, he's done Transformers. Like,
oh God,
I like him. He's a lovable guy, but he acts the same way in every movie.
I gotta make a graphic. I gotta make a graphic, dude, of like a Family Feud style graphic. Is he up on the board? And it's like, ding, 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 Mark Wahlberg. Actors who won't come on the show. Ding, 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 Mark Wahlberg. But yeah.
I'm sure he'd agree with me. Like, I just get paid.
Yeah. So Scott says, for something like Dead by Daylight, the movie doesn't have to revolve around game mechanics. It can revolve around the lore. Establish the backstory of the killer, of the survivor, how they ended up in the fog, and why it's important to escape. I would, like, again, me just off shooting from the hip, off the top of my mind, like, how they get there, right? Like, a lot of setup, right? How all these people, random people, ended up in the fog, how the killer ended up there, make him go through the whole thing, make some people not survive, right? At the end, one person escapes, and like, that's the end of the movie. Like, oh my God, I make it. And then in the post-credit scene, it's the loading screen of the game. And then it's like the movie starts again as the end credit scene with all the survivors there. And they're like, I watched you die. And then you realize, oh, it's just a loop. You know what I mean? Or go the other way of it. Remember, what was that movie, Happy Death Day? Remember that was a movie? And it was this chick that kept dying. It was like Groundhog's Day, except she kept dying over and over and over. You do that. You just do that, and it's them just trying to like maybe they think escaping is what gets them out of the loop, right? So they keep dying over and over. They almost make it out, and they die over and over and over, and finally at the very end they escape, and they're like, "We did it, we broke the loop," only for it to reset again, and then you realize, oh shit, we're just in hell. We're just
or they're with another killer or whatever.
Yeah, right. They spawn in with another killer and another map.
That would be good, but will they do that? No, because they're going to be stuck with the game.
Why aren't they tapping me to write this? Why aren't they tapping me to write this? I think I could make a half decent script at this. I think I could. Blumhouse, you're on notice. I think I can do a decent job.
But they do a lot of. I mean, they do a lot of horror movies, so I don't know. They're probably a better choice than, I don't know, Warner Brothers or somebody. But we'll see. It's still too early, but it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see how they do with it. I'll watch the trailer and then take it from there.
Yeah, exactly.
HBO Max or Paramount Plus.
I think that's what it's going to boil down to is and again, not to knock anyone. I mean, I guess you have to be a fan of horror franchises. Maybe like, I don't know. I don't know. It's not going to have mass appeal. It's not, because it's for people who've played the game, and it's got to be of people who are horror movie, fans, because they're not going to make a happy-go-lucky Dead by Daylight movie. You know what I mean? It's going to be a hard R. It's got to be. Oh, God forbid they don't make it a hard R. Oh my God. If they tell me they're going to make a PG-13 Dead by, it's done. It's dead on arrival. It's dead before arrival. They've got to stick to that. So speaking of movies, dead on arrival. Oh God, it kills me. You know me. I don't like to talk negatively about anyone or about anything. There are always positives and things. I heard some news that I don't know. Part of me is like, oh, that's nice. And then part of me is like, why? Just why? So, not to draw it out any longer, for those that are fans like me, grew up fans of Nickelodeon and all those shows. We all know Keenan and Kel, right? They had a show that was great. They did a little movie called Good Burger based on some characters they had done on, I think it was All That was the name of the show. Good Burger became a movie, a thing that was 25 plus, I think, years ago. They just announced a Good Burger 2. A sequel follow-up, an all-new movie, returning characters from the Good Burger movie.
The movie nobody wanted. Nobody ever said. I remember my sister liked that show, and I hated it. And she rented it. We got to pick one movie to rent, and she rented that, and I was so mad. It came as an orange VHS. I was like, this is how you know it's a terrible movie if it's not the normal black color VHS.
They had to find a way to stand out, Yeah.
It's like, it was just a terrible movie. I don't know why you would bring it back. I'm sure all those guys are available because they're not doing anything else. I mean, it's Nickelodeon.
Here's the thing. I like Keenan. I mean, he's on SNL right now. He's a funny guy. He's a good actor. He's done a lot of things. He's probably most known for his comedic roles, but he's a good actor. Kel is done things, I guess, over the last 20 something years. I mean, I'm sure he stayed within the industry. I don't think, like, I don't know who that's for, right? Because like, I think
not on the air anymore. They don't have like Good Burger, like Boy Meets World they came back out with, or
right. They didn't recreate
all those old Disney shows, like they're back on. So I would get a move like one of those movies, but that's not even on the air anymore. The people that watched it and hated it are all our age. So it's like, I'm not gonna go pay $15 per, like I had to bring the whole family $100 to go watch that piece of crap. No, I wouldn't even stream it if it was on free. The only way that's going to be viewed in my house is if I pass out with watching something else and that comes on next on the streaming service.
No, I hear you. Real quick, the actual King Smith has donated $4.99 for Mad Mike's fishing fund. Just
thanks.
There you go.
Going Friday. That's not even a gallon of gas. But appreciate it.
That's some bait right there. A little bit of bait. A little bit. Tiny bit. A couple worms.
You can get one shiner.
So it's one of those things where You might not have liked it. I don't know. I was okay with the original. I enjoyed it. I laughed. I think I was of the I was of the age, so to speak. I think I was the target demographic. I think, you know what I mean? I was a fan of them. I enjoyed their work, and I like silly movies like that. So to for there to be a want of a follow up, I'm like, who's the target audience? Because the people that would even know the reference are my age. And I don't know a lot of people my age that are going to be like clamoring to see a follow up. I mean, let's be honest. I don't see that as a thing. And again, like you said, there's not like there's a younger audience where they're like, hey, you know those guys from that thing? They're going to do this movie, like, because they're, Keenan. He had a TV show, and then he had a stuff, and now he's on SNL. So it's like, are you? I don't know. I'm confused. I guess that's the main thing. I'm just confused.
He used his poll to get the movie made, but it's like nobody. I don't know. I don't get it. There's so many other movies they could make at Nickelodeon itself, but
yeah,
I don't see the appeal, and I don't see why that one in particular. I think it's a huge grab, and it's not going to go anywhere.
I kind of agree with you, and I think that in a nutshell, I don't know. I don't know.
Give us a third SpongeBob movie. Like, I'd rather watch that.
I mean, I hate to say it. Yeah, there's certain, I don't know, there's certain things that I feel like lean themselves to like, hey, the nostalgia's there for it. But I don't know. I can't imagine. I guess it depends. They're here announcing it. For all we know, I mean, I think the announcement was that Paramount Plus was going to be paying for it, and they're going to
stream it.
It's probably going to be it's probably going to be a streaming movie. I mean, realistically,
which is smart. That would be ideal for them. That's the best. That's the only way it'll be viewed. Like, yeah, I paid $20 for the year of Paramount Plus. And we'll watch this piece of crap.
You're so positive, so uplifting.
You're bored, drank 13 beers. Ooh, let's watch Good Burger.
Yeah. So it's hard, man. Like,
nobody's gonna buy a ticket. I wouldn't. If you buy a ticket to that, like, I'll punch you in the face. Give me $15 and I'll punch you in the face. It'll be a better time.
You'll enjoy yourself slightly better. Oh God.
At least you'll have a memory.
Oh man. Well, yeah. So I don't know. I hope it's good. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, what's a sequel to something that we had to wait 20, 25 years for, that you were like, yeah, that was worth it. The wait was worth it. I mean, because we had a Tron follow-up, right? 20 plus years after the fact, and it was okay, I guess. I don't know.
I can't think of anything.
It's
Indiana
too long. Jones,
you got
Star Wars.
Bill and Ted, it was okay.
Bill and Ted, that was okay.
But did we want it? Not really. I would have wanted it 10 years earlier. But
even Matrix 4. You can argue that it was. Hey, there's a good one. Angry Elf says Top Gun Maverick. There's a case. There's a case for it. That it might be the best 20 plus year sequel.
It's essentially the same movie, but Tom Cruise would not be flying a plane at 55 years old.
Charles says Beetlejuice 2, but I mean, we haven't seen it yet. There's a lot of talk about it. We haven't seen it yet. What about the Ghostbusters? Not counting the female-led reboot, but the current, was it Afterlife, which just started filming its sequel. I think it's called Ghostbusters Firehouse. Just started filming.
That was a good one. I liked that one. So I think they did well with it. I mean, you could have, we watched the all-female one, which my kids liked, but
I think that's who it was aimed at. Honestly.
Mediocre. Yeah.
I think it was
if that was what we got, people were upset.
Yeah.
But Afterlife was well done, so I guess that's a good one.
Yeah, there's a couple of cases. But again, those movies, right? We're quoting, think about it. Top Gun, Ghostbusters, these are movies that are considered classics. The originals.
Good Burger is not classic.
I don't want to say isn't isn't regarded in such fashion. In fact, had you mentioned it to me a couple weeks ago, I'd be like, Good Burger. Oh yeah, that existed at some point.
That exists as my least favorite movie of all time. It's the only reason I know that.
Can't be your
It's
least favorite.
One of the two. I'm like, do you like Good Burger or do you like Fast and the Furious? And that immediately tells me if I'm gonna like you as a human being.
That's the barometer.
Yeah.
Oh God. I keep you around just because you're the yang to my yin. You know what I mean? You are the dark side. You are the Sith to my Jedi, and we bring balance to the Force, and that's why I like keeping you around. Because I'm so positive about everything. Like everything's great. Everything's awesome.
I'll watch Good Burger, and I'm like, you're a freaking
Everything
idiot.
is awesome.
Give me your money, and I'll kick you in the dick.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Alrighty, we're reaching the top of the hour, so I'm gonna toss it over to a break, and when we come back, we are going to have an amazing sit down with an incredible actor. Mr. John Carroll Lynch will be joining us. I'm super excited. This is one that I've been waiting for a while, so I'm looking very much forward to it. Mad Mike, thank you for joining us. Are you going to hang around to the end of the show?
Yeah, I'll be back.
All right. I'm looking
Depending
forward
on how
to
long
it.
you guys go.
We'll
He's done a lot of stuff, so there's a lot to talk about. If you're up till midnight, I'm gonna be out.
We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it within reason. No worries there. Thank you for joining us in the first hour. I'm sure we got a ton more we can talk about in the next stop. So for some of you, it's a beer break. For some of you, it's smoke them if you got them. A bio break, whatever it is you need, guys. We're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have actor John Carroll Lynch with us. Mike, why don't you toss us? Say, see you guys after the break.
See you guys after the break.
All right, guys, we'll be right back with more show after this. Shots.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, alright? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, would you think because the show is going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me now? And if I told you everything, I bet you cry and run away. 'Cause
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Pop Culture Warrior. If you know me, you know just how excited I am right now. I am buzzing with excitement. My guest tonight is arguably one of the greatest, and I hate to use this term, one of the greatest character actors of our generation. He burst onto the scene as Norm in the 1996 cult classic Fargo and has made a name for himself on TV, shows like The Drew Carey Show and American Horror Story, as well as movies and hits like Zodiac, The Founder, and the recent Trial of the Chicago 7. In 2017, he made his directorial debut with the feature film Lucky, starring the incredible Harry Dean Stanton. We don't have nearly enough time to talk about this man's illustrious career, so let's dive straight into it. Everyone, please give a huge welcome to my guest tonight, Mr. John Carroll Lynch, everybody.
How are you?
Thank you, sir, for making the time, man. I truly appreciate this.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I want to dive right in it because it took me hours to go through your IMDb, your wiki, watch interviews. You've been doing this so long, and you've been a part of so many incredible projects. I had to pick a few, so we're not here all night. But first and foremost, I always got to ask, what is your military connection?
My direct military connection is my father served in the Marine Corps. He was a ROTC first lieutenant on his way to Korea when the armistice was signed while he was on a boat on the way over. And as I'm sure you imagine, had the armistice not been signed, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because the death toll of first lieutenants in the Marine Corps, particularly first lieutenants in the Marine Corps who came through ROTC and officer training, is not high. So I have the armistice to thank for my presence here today, I believe.
Well, we're so happy that you are. And you said your direct connection. Were you alluding to any other connections? Just curious.
No, well, I mean, my mother's family didn't serve, but my wife's family has people in the military all over it. Her father was the commanding general of the Army of Washington. She's related to Smedley Butler.
Okay.
Through cousins. But two of my nephews-in-law served. One went to West Point, and the other one served in the Marine Corps. He volunteered. He enlisted. So my wife's family connection is long. But my family, my father was, I think, the first Lynch to serve, and it was through. He really wanted to go to college and law school, and that was the way he could afford that. So it was all GI Bill related. And as he said at the end of his life, he said, "I'm pretty much cradle to grave, social welfare programs." He went to the ROTC. He bought his first house with the GI Bill, went to law school on the GI Bill, and then later in his life, was on Social Security and Medicare. So pretty much. In between, he paid a lot of taxes, and he always said, "I think I'm value added. I think I was value added."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in the plus category, right? Not the minus.
I would
right?
say that he was worth the investment.
There you go. Well, we appreciate him for his service and what he
Thank
did.
you.
It's everybody plays their part and is a role to play. So, already, by the way, you're getting a lot of love in the chats. I'm not going to keep stopping the show, but everyone loves you. Comments like John's character on Big Sky made me a huge fan. I wasn't going to miss this for the world. Thanks for coming on. A lot of big fans in the chat. Great. So we thank you. Being that this is, which first of all, I'm just going to put it out there, a little peek behind the scenes. John was here and listening to us ramble on for a while there before his appearance, and again, I apologize.
I wanted to get a sense of what the show. There's nothing to apologize for. I wanted to see what the show was like because I had never listened to the show, And I mean, if all of a sudden there was there was stuff on here that I was like, oh, I can't support that.
Yeah.
I can certainly support rigorous conversation around the importance of the DC universe and whether or not video games, what the themes of the video game films should be,
There you go.
and what the potential plot was that they should have for these video games. So I get it. You're really your finger is on the pulse of the pop culture. That's what I get.
I'm going to clip that and use that in a commercial for the show. So thank you for that. I'm gonna have to sign a release after this so that
I'm happy to give you the zhuzh. Work on the zhuzh.
You took a peek behind the curtain here and you saw what we were
Yeah,
about.
I wanted to see what it was like.
So let me ask you, what do you geek out about? Right? And it doesn't have to be,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if well, I mean, I'm going to be one of those people who, hangs on the fence of acting classes for the rest of my life. I love actors. I love working with actors. I love storytelling. That's what I love to do. And it has become my job, which inevitably means that it's compromised to some degree because you're making a living at it. It's not something you do as an avocation. So you don't simply say no all the time. You want to do things that you may think to yourself, is it good or not? But I've been very fortunate in the things that I've chosen, and that mostly have chosen me, because that's really how it works. But when it comes to storytelling, I'm a passionate devotee.
All right.
So like when you're talking about, you were talking about a video game, I have no idea what it is. But when you're talking about a video game and what the story should be of it, that's the kind of conversation I could spend hours on.
I like that. Well, you fit right in with us, because that's what we do. Talk about story and pacing and character development. We were just, Shazam 2 is the big movie that just came out, and we were talking about, they didn't, the villains didn't feel threatening enough, and this, and so we're weighing the weight of the character, which, real quick, spoiler alert, you play some of the most terrifying, menacing, incredible villains. Not a lot of them with superpowers or anything like that, but you find a way to bring them such life. And this isn't blowing smoke for the sake of the interview and things like that. I truly menacing in even just your, I don't know. We'll get into it. I'm gushing over your work.
Thank you. And I have not seen Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I haven't seen it, so I don't know how it was. I saw the first one and I enjoyed it. I thought it had a nice childlike quality. I used to love that comic book. Billy Batson was one of my favorite transformations. Was from a kid with a crutch to a superhero. Was a really great awesome transformation. Purity of heart, of course, which is a big theme in Captain America and Wonder Woman and other.
Of course, to be a true hero. To be a true hero, you have to be pure of heart.
But there's also the redemptive, superheroes, the ones that are, have had a rough road. I mean, from Bruce Wayne to the alcoholic that is Tony Stark.
Tony Stark, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we could talk about don't sidetrack me, because we could talk about this for hours. I want to talk about you. That's what we're here to talk about. And before
I'm presently not in the MCU or the DCEU, so I'm available for such things.
We're gonna get you in there. I guarantee you, there's some great roles for you. We're gonna start a petition right here, right now.
Yeah,
before we dive into your career, I want to give you a chance to, you have a platform, you're a recognizable face, recognizable name. Are there any charities you support or causes that are near and dear to your heart that you want to just promote for a second?
Feeding America, we support that. My wife and I support that a lot. Feeding America, we support Doctors Without Borders, a World Food Kitchen. It's a difficult time to decide what you want to do with any charitable donations you have, because there's so much need and there's so many, really important, dangerous things happening in the world. feeding people seems to be a clear need at all times, and not just here but everywhere in the world. And we have enough food. We just don't. We've decided not to make that a priority in a lot of different places in different ways. So it's that's important to me. Trying to feed people is important. I like those charities, and Doctors Without Borders is an incredible organization.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, food's kind of a thing we all need and should all
Yeah.
have access to. I mean,
Yes, that's what makes us so damn expensive as workers. Is we have these, we got to eat, and we got to sleep, and we need a place to rest. It's very expensive.
Basic human needs.
Drones are much less expensive that way.
Easier to maintain too, than a population.
Yep.
Well, thank you. I believe in that as well, and that's such a great thing to hear that you're using your platform to talk about that. Thank you. So a little bit about you. I happen to know, as I've done my homework, that you were born and raised in Colorado, that you graduated the Catholic University of America, which I believe is in DC. You graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in 1986. What I want to know is, when was that point early on in your life where you decided, where you realized this acting thing, because it's a beast to try to get into, but when did that become like kind of your focal point, or something you were interested in tackling?
I was interested in becoming someone else from a very early age, there was a guy in our neighborhood who made films, like little story films with the kids in the neighborhood, and that was really fun. Like what he'd do is he'd shoot the film on Super 16 or 16 millimeter, and then he'd edit it, and then it would be we'd have a block party, and there would be like peach ice cream and badminton, and then at night he'd put a sheet on the garage and show the movie, where all the kids on this one street in Denver, and there were a lot of them because there was a lot of Catholic families on that. There were families with 5 and 6 and 4 kids on that block, so there were a lot of kids, and everybody was featured in it. So we did a couple of those, and I really enjoyed that. I had fun doing that as a child, and then my brother was in a production when I was 13. My sister was working on the crew, and my brother was in a production of Camelot. My brother has a lovely singing voice, and he came out, and he started singing the start of Camelot, which is 3 nights singing the song, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening to me. I believe that he's a knight. He says he's a knight. He is a knight, but he's my brother. And how does that happen? Why am I believing that? Like, it never occurred to me that the people enacting these things were actually other people. And I became fascinated with that. I was like, oh, that I want to try that. You mean I could believe I'm somebody else for 2 hours of an evening? That sounds like a cool thing to do. And I became really obsessed with that, and took it very, very seriously, much to the chagrin of other people that I did plays with. And I was in Denver at a time where they had this organization, Catholic Youth Services, which had a priest named Dennis Dwyer, who opened a community theater for kids called The Original Scene. And whether you were 8 years old or whether you were 18, there were shows that they would do, and they would do musicals twice a year, and then they started doing straight plays and summer reviews, and you could do plays all year round. And I became I loved it. I just loved doing it.
Oh, it's beautiful. You obviously had from a young age this is what I want to do. Did you have, I hate to add, did you have a backup plan? Like, what if this didn't work out? What are you?
I had a backup plan. I mean, there was no plan of backup, but mean, I was like, if this doesn't work out, something else will happen. Both of my parents were lawyers, so I guess that was part of the backup plan. My brother became a lawyer, and but my mother said something funny years and years afterwards. She said, after I'd been in the business for a long time, she goes, "Well, I just thought the business would dissuade you. I didn't think we needed to." I mean, I figured, you'd go to college for it, you get your degree, that's fine. You can always go back to law school or go do something else. You'll find a way to make a living, and then you never had to. And and I thought that that was pretty wise parenting. That she didn't need to, and my father didn't need to spend a lot of time trying to talk me out of it.
Mm.
They came to see everything, and for all the kids who were performers in the family, they came to see everything.
Did you give him a little like, "Ha, I showed you"?
I don't know about that. I did definitely want. The irony is that I did definitely not want to be a lawyer, and I definitely did not want to wear a tie every day. That I did not want to do as a job, and yet then I became an actor, and that means most of the time you wear more than one tie a day, and you have to tie it yourself. That's kind of one of my definitions of a character actor is somebody who can tie their own tie without a mirror. That is a character actor. They're like, "What day is it? Oh, it's the blue tie day. Let's get the blue tie, the other jacket, and we'll shoot this other scene."
Real quick, just for all the people in the audience, don't forget this is live. He's here right now. If you have questions for John, by all means, you're getting a lot of love in the chats, and
they have no questions because they're finished with it. They're like, "Yeah, oh, there's more.
There's more." King Smith in the chat. King Smith says, "I really enjoy hearing people say I became obsessed with it. The passion people have when they become obsessed really shows in their work." So,
well, I mean, I agree with that, and the power of obsession. Is clear. One of the movies I've done is Zodiac, and Zodiac is a movie that's about obsession. It's not just about, it's about the obsession of the Zodiac. It's about the obsession of Robert Graysmith. It's about the obsession that, Mark Ruffalo's character and Robert Downey's character share in the movie. And to some degree, it's about David Fincher's obsession. So it's all about obsession. And obsession can be, obviously, in Zodiac, obsession leads to good or ill.
And sometimes it's a fine line between the two. It's
oftentimes
which day you find it. And you said something, and I'm gonna key in on it. You called yourself a character actor, and I always feel like that's a dirty word, like, because I feel like if you're on camera and you're speaking lines and you're putting your all in this, you're an actor, right? It's a voice, even voice actors. I feel like that's an actor.
Right. I mean, it is. There is not really any difference between those are character. I mean, I don't have any problem with calling myself a character actor or an actor. They're both the same thing. I don't know of a job in which an actor is not playing a character, even if it's inside John Malkovich and John Malkovich is playing John Malkovich. That's not John Malkovich. It's a character named John Malkovich, just like the Nick Cage movie recently. It's a character named Nicolas Cage. It's not him. And I think that there's all kinds of ways to skin that fish. There's different relationships with the audience depending on the style of acting and the style of film or style of theater that you're doing. So it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I think sometimes it's a term that's used to pay actors less. But that has to do with the things that they're going to try to pay people as little as possible anyway. And there's a difference between an actor who can raise the money and an actor who can't raise the money. And that's a completely arbitrary line.
Yeah,
that's drawn by people who want to get their money back.
Right. Yeah, all the people in the suits making decisions.
There's a lot of, it's not a free art form. You need money, and you need a lot of it, even for a small film. So it's an understandable desire that people are going, yes, this is all great, but what's my return on my investment? I mean, it's not free, and it's understandable why it isn't. And when it's supported or subsidized, then there are other problems with it. It's a very difficult thing to do, film and television, particularly independent film.
So, speaking of film and movies, let's dive in a little bit. I picked out a couple things from your career where I just spotlight and ask questions about. We have a
Sure.
couple questions in the chat, which I will get to. But your first big role, the big breakout, the thing that really kind of landed you was 1996 Fargo, Norm Gunderson.
Yeah.
I'm curious as you're coming into that. What did you take away from that experience, right? That first this big movie and you're in it.
Well, I mean, I had done two other films before that where I'd had one line each in the films. And when I got that job, I got it from Minnesota. I was working at the Guthrie Theater, and it was during a time where they had just started the tax rebates in Minnesota to draw film and television there. So it was called the Snow Bait because it's Minnesota. And that's what they called it. And so there was a series of films that came in, and about 2/3 of the cast, probably at least, of Fargo are local actors, of which I was working with many of them at the Guthrie at the time that the film was made. But the primary thing I took away from the experience was how quiet, how quiet and confident the set was, which I thought would always be the case, and it is not the case. And everybody who worked on that movie knew why they were there. They were there to to work with those two guys. They were there to do a Coen Brothers film, and so many of the people behind the scenes had worked with them before, and so there was a kind of a quiet, a kind of a very smooth work process. And I thought, well, it's always like that. And then I did another movie where I was like, oh no, it's nothing like that. And there's all kinds of things going on here. So that was the primary thing I took away from it.
That's I can imagine that what an experience that was. Moving on, 1997, Face Off. It's one of my favorite movies just for how ridiculous of a movie it is.
It is.
The concept and all that. And I heard they're going to be making a sequel, which I'm very excited for. You play a prison guard in it, and you share some scenes with Nicolas Cage in there. I'm just curious, what was that experience like? Because I can only assume Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage in person.
Well, he was, I mean, it was a big, huge studio movie, right? I mean, it was the first studio movie I'd ever done, and the size of everything was on steroids. You'd come up. I worked a lot in Eagle Rock, California, at an electrical substation, which they used as the interior of the prison, and to watch that massive amount of people get that thing done. John Woo is a master filmmaker and a master storyteller, and they had asked him I think they had insisted that he do storyboards for the entire film. He never looked at a single one of them once that he'd okayed, because he didn't need to. We were doing a scene where I was doing I believe it was a scene in which I was doing an anal cavity search, as I recall. And he stood in the center of the room and called out three camera locations and 3 different film speeds for the 3 camera crews. And I mean, to do it from memory, to have that kind of control and mastery. Sorry, something came up. I hope you can still see me.
We got
Sorry,
you.
it came up. Okay, great. To have that kind of mastery, it's just incredible. Nick was amazingly funny on the set. When we were doing that scene of the body cavity search, they had built a platform so they could get below him for his responses to what I was doing, because they didn't really make it a porn, gratefully. And I said, "Do you need a cue of it?" And he goes, "What do you mean? What kind of cue are you going to give me?" We both laughed about that. But he was very funny, very charming. I mean, his acting work is so extraordinarily singular and so powerful, that he can go from these, operatic level characters to the most subtle and powerful work. Pig is an extraordinary performance, and if you haven't seen that film, it's a great film. I fell in love with the film, and I knew Adam Arkin. I've known him for a while, and he's wonderful in the movie. And I called up and pestered him about it. And I pestered him for the director's email because I wanted to talk to him about it. And I think it's one of Nick Cage's best performances. But beyond that, that you can go from that to, playing a grandiose version of yourself to, now he's doing Renfield. I love that he doesn't ever take a movie off. It doesn't matter what you think of it. He's going to go fully out to where he thinks the movie should be. There's never, he never phones it in, never calls, never. And I appreciate that. And, the movies are up and down as they are for all of us, but he never stops his commitment to what he thinks the movie's about.
Yeah, there's claims that like, oh, he really hammed it up, and I think it's if he feels that was right for that character, like that was.
Yeah, I mean, about a few weeks ago, Con Air was on, so I watched a little bit of that. When you've got a line that says "put the bunny down," you really got to, you got to find a way to live with that, and he did. He did.
Make the most of it.
I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, it's like asking Bill Shatner if he's taking it seriously. Yes, of course he is. Of course he is. Can't you tell?
Yeah.
He's completely taking it seriously. That's why he has those amazing line readings.
Yeah. I think there are those kind of actors that transcend the form. I think like Christopher Walken is one of those guys where he's going to do it his way, but it's because he thinks that's the best way to do it.
And here's another thing about that, which I always wonder about. I mean, you like music. Who's your favorite guitarist? Do you think you have a favorite guitarist?
I'm a weirdo in that I like every genre of music. I don't pick one. So
Great,
I'll go from Linkin Park to Brad Paisley to I'm all over the map.
Okay, so nobody says to themselves, "Yeah, Clapton's great, but he doesn't play like B.B. King." It's like, yeah, he doesn't play like B.B. King. B.B. King plays like B.B. King. I think that when I came up in acting, there was this thing about being able to, transform and to disappear. And I loved, I personally love that. I mean, I love when people forget that it's me, but people don't forget it's you because of what mustache you're wearing. There's something that happens inside. And some people go like, I'm not even like Harry Dean Stanton was like, he said this on a chat show, which was really funny. He got a job in Missouri Breaks, and he was working with his old friend, Jack Nicholson. And Jack Nicholson says, I want you to play this part, but I don't want you to act at all. And he never did it again. I mean, in his mind, he never acted again. And I think it's an interesting thing to let go of the idea that you have to become someone different absolutely and completely every time. But you have to change what's inside yourself to something new every time. And that I think is crucial in whatever piece you're doing. And there are times where physical transformation is necessary, but it's not the be all end all of acting.
Sure. Wow. That's good stuff, man. that's exactly why we bring you here, because these are the things. Like again, from a complete. I don't know anything about filmmaking. I'm just a fan. Mm-hmm. I'm an observer. Mm-hmm. I'm a lover. I watch it. I take it all in. So to hear those nuances and what goes into it, and the creative processes and how you get to that place. Like this is all super fascinating to me. And
the bottom line of it is the way Morgan Freeman does it, which is, he says, I'm a research scientist. And in your mind, you go, you're a research scientist. And in another one, he goes, I'm God. And you go, you're God. And then, I'm a convicted murderer. You're a convicted murderer. There's never a moment you don't think to yourself, you're not a convicted murderer. Like, he just tells you what he is, and then he is that.
Mm.
And that's the simplest, purest way acting works.
So spot on. There are a bunch of questions. I'm gonna get to them, guys. Hold on to 1 second. We're gonna get to them. I want to knock out a couple more credits, and then we're gonna dive into some questions from the audience. So jump ahead. 1997 through 2004, you are in the Drew Carey Show. You played Drew Carey's brother, Steve Carey. 74 episodes. I mean, that's a huge job. For those that don't know it, I mean, it's a whole different beast. Acting in a movie to being on set in a TV show or being a series regular or what have you. What was that experience like for you, taking on such a big role of that show?
Well, I mean, to say it was a big role, it's interesting. That show was on for so long. I did 74 episodes, and I'm not on a third of the shows.
Sure.
I mean, that's how many Drew Careys there are. And it was a really fun set to be on because the people were really, really funny. And I enjoyed playing the character, although the character changed midstream in the show because, I was a cross-dresser to begin on the show. And when I got to be an irregular on the show, the first season I was given a contract, I was a recurring character. And for the first 2 seasons I was on the show. And they tested and they were like, well, America doesn't really love the dresses, so we're just going to lose those. And I was like, okay, well, I wonder who I am now. I wonder who that character is. It was an interesting struggle as they tried to figure out what the voice of the character was, and I tried to figure it out. And I don't know that we ever did, but the show was always funny, and the show was a circus of a show. They didn't. In a way, it was a precursor, or it learned from other shows like the Gary Shandling Show or other shows that it had a bit of a meta feeling to it. So you didn't really think it took place in a real Cleveland. There was no moment where you thought, like, this is a real Cleveland. No, it wasn't. It wasn't like Good Times where you're like, we're in Chicago and only Chicago things happen that take place in this apartment. It was like a bear drives by. Okay, that's the kind of show. Lewis and Oswald build a house in the middle of a park. You just go, okay, I'm just going to go with this because it's not about, it's about these characters. It's character comedy. And I loved working on the show. And I also had the good fortune of being able to go do other things while I was doing that show, which was crucial.
Yeah. It always reminded me, I love that show growing up. It always reminded me of like, if you took an improv troupe and then like built an actual set of, okay, you're going to come in and you're going to say this and then it's like, and obviously Ryan Stiles is a legend in Whose Line Is It Anyway? One of my favorite character guys. But yeah, it definitely seemed like this was fun and energetic and kind of trying to put a tornado in a bottle kind of thing.
It really had a whimsically funny. What was funny was king, and whether or not it made sense was not important. And you know what, I like that. I mean, it's a style of stuff that I like, and I haven't done a lot of comedy in a while, and it's always fun to do, and I miss doing it more because it has it's just it's a lot of fun. Not that drama isn't or horror isn't, but it's a different kind of fun.
Sure. All right, we'll take an audience break here to answer some of their questions. From Heath, he wants to know, I guess, when you got into it, what was your first big purchase, right? When that first big Hollywood paycheck came a coming, what'd you spoil yourself? What was your first big purchase?
I mean, when I first came to LA, I'd been working as a theater actor and making a living as a theater actor, and what I'd hoped to happen in Los Angeles was, man, I really hope I can buy a new Saturn someday. I Hope I can buy a Saturn. That would be awesome. The things that, what was my first big purchase? I didn't really buy stuff. A house, that was a big purchase, pretty big purchase. And most of the things that I do with money that are, expending things are going places. I like traveling, and I like experiencing that. I don't need a lot. The older I get, I think it's because I'm living. When have the good fortune of working, I'm almost always out of a suitcase.
Sure.
So your car. I'm a carny, so I really don't. I don't think I need a lot.
And he plays one on TV too.
Yes, exactly. I have on several occasions. I don't know what it is about me and carnivals, but between Bubble Boy and Carnival and Freak Show, it's like there's something about me and circus performers that works out well.
Yeah, it's
for me.
It's I don't know. I'm not even going to try to guess.
Yeah, I won't. Best not question the mojo.
Yeah, whatever it works, it works.
Whatever works. Yeah.
So, this might be a tough one. Your favorite, and I don't want to get in trouble, least favorite person to work with.
My favorite and least favorite person to work with.
You want to burn bridges now?
Okay, I'm not going to burn any bridges. I can tell you, my least favorite person to work with is me. Like I've been an asshole on more than one occasion, and has never helped anybody, and certainly hasn't helped my work. That's 100% the truth. My favorite person to work with, man, there's been so many wonderful people. I'm going to say Fran McDormand, only insofar as Fran was the first, person I shared scenes with on film, and her generosity of spirit, her her kindness and her presence, particularly her presence, really taught me more about acting on film than anybody. And another person who did that for me was Benicio del Toro in a movie called Things We Lost in the Fire. He just has a way of being so present that nothing ever that one moment blends into another in a way that's so exciting and inspiring.
I like that. From Deborah, what type of roles do you like to play the best?
Oftentimes it's about what a character says that makes me attracted to it. It's oftentimes a phrase or a word or a joke. It runs the gamut from, having the joy of, running in and tackling Steve Carell to in, The Walking Dead, having a character that says we're not built to kill, that all life is precious. That those are things I do believe, and it's great to have a character actually say them earnestly and honestly. There's also the fun of doing accents or transformative work, so I get attracted to all of the pieces of things quite a bit. But keep in mind, this is something, there are very few people who actually choose their work. Work chooses you. So you have a tendency to, over the course of time, to begin to see what kind of relationship you have to the material and what your instrument seems to be attuned for. And I think that has a lot to do with how people are perceived.
Sure. To do a sports analogy, very few athletes get to choose where they play. Most, you have to be passionate about the game and go out there and play.
There's the passion of the game, but there's also like some things that are physically determinative. That's it, determinative. So like, I don't know if you've read The Blind Side or in The Blind Side, one of the things about Michael Orr is his ass is huge. He's really fast on his feet and his ass is huge. And that makes him a great left tackle. It's like a friend of mine wanted so desperately to be a ballet dancer, and she worked so hard at it, and she got to the Cleveland Ballet, but it was through sheer force of will, because her body bore no relationship to a ballet dancer. And that's changed a little bit in ballet, a little bit, but there are determinative factors. Like, I did a movie called oh man, I'm forgetting it now. Forget the name of it. Anyway, I played Love Happens. Love Happens. So I played a character who was in a grief counseling session. And in one of the scenes, we all go to a Home Depot together. The whole grief session gets on a bus and goes to the Home Depot. It's all to help my character go through his grief. And they all got off the bus, and then Aaron Eckhart and I got off the bus on a crane shot. And the crane rises and shows the Home Depot, and we're all going in, about 30 of us. And I saw the shot and thought, why am I going into that store with 30 children? I mean, I was twice the size of anybody else in the scene. And, there's things that I, from my physical nature, will not, it's a dynamic that has to be accepted. And you can change it like they did with Jonathan Rhys Davies or Ian McKellen in the Lord of the Rings, but you don't do that very often. That's not very often what happens. Very often, most of the time, this thing comes with me, and I've got to. This is my instrument, so you have to play with what you've got.
That's a great way to put it. Deborah also mentions you're also a director, which hopefully we'll get into. Does your experience as an actor, I would assume, play into that and give you kind of insight into to help you as a director?
I certainly felt like it did when I directed the film I've directed so far, and I feel like it's helping me with the films I want to direct and the way in which I think about them and talk to the writers and write myself. And I think all that comes character, performance, things that I rely on in terms of those things, or what I'm called to direct, have those elements. Yeah, but I mean, it certainly does. And the reverse is true, which is having directed something changes the way in which I act as well.
That was actually going to be my next question. Is it must, when you go, oh, okay, I see why he's the guy's always telling me to do this, because now being on the other side, you see what it is they're seeing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and also you realize that your purpose is to provide theme and variation work for the director to have different choices about an individual moment or individual scene. And you have to also be careful of what you provide, which is a different way of looking at it. Each collaboration is different, but I that's an important part of the job of an actor, is to provide color, tempo changes, and the truth as they see it.
From Patrick in the chat, he says, in your role in oh my God, I can read, I promise. In your role in Mercury Rising, if I recall,
Yes.
You played the father of an autistic child. That was the first movie that I can recall seeing that had accurately depicted a child with severe autism. From your perspective, how much of a pain was Dr. Bennett Leventhal, one of the technical directors? Apparently he's heard his side of the story about it being a pain to kind of work and critique. So any insight there?
I mean, I don't know. I never met the technical director.
Okay.
Or if I did, I don't recall it. Harold Becker directed the film, and Nico Hughes did the work as my son in the movie, and obviously as the charge for most of the film with Bruce Willis. I'm glad someone, I assume this person is saying it has experience with people on the spectrum, on the autistic spectrum, and that they felt that it was related well. I'm glad of that. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, that's a tribute to everybody concerned that they wanted to do the work right, so that people could recognize themselves in the work, which is, of course, what all of us should be doing.
And so many more questions, but we're gonna
I'm
get
just,
back.
I'm just
So,
struck by how hilarious I am on this. I'm struck by the amount of jokes that I'm coming to. Like, it's just awesome. Like, my timing is so good. Like, I can't tell you how hilarious this stuff is.
you're doing great. It's going so well. To jump to the other spectrum of acting, Bubble Boy, 2001. Again, it's a movie
Yeah,
I love for how campy and silly and ridiculous it is. But I absolutely love it. You played the dad of Jake Gyllenhaal, Mr. Livingston.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I'm there's so many questions I could ask about that movie, but what I'm really curious is a couple years later, you're in Zodiac again with Jake Gyllenhaal. Um,
Yep. And
I'm
had the good girl in between,
and that's right, and the good girl.
where
That's true.
I played his boss in the film.
So
Um,
getting to see that the growth of him as an actor, what did you take away as where he improved as an actor?
well, I mean, he's extremely talented, and I mean, I think it's like you watch somebody grow as an actor, and then there's something that happens that turns a key. And man, I really love Nightcrawler. I thought that was like, whoa, Jake's onto something amazing. Prisoners, he's onto some amazing stuff. Now, I really enjoyed working on Bubble Boy with him. Adored Swoosie Kurtz and Danny Trejo, who I got to act with in the film. But the whole Blair Hayes, the director, and the whole thing was just insane. And the way in which it went through the studio system was insane. And it's a movie that would never be made today, never in a million years. And of course, at the time, it was, it went on to the Today Show. They went on to the Today Show to talk about the movie. And I think they had Blair on, which was interesting because you would think it would be actors because Blair Hayes was not a famous director at the time. And they asked him, why did you make a movie that was a comedy about somebody with an autoimmune deficiency? And he was like, wait, what? Like he was suddenly defending making fun of people with a terminal, very dangerous disease.
Sure.
And he couldn't tell the truth, which is he doesn't have it. It's just a really crazy mom who talked him into having it.
Mm-hmm.
He can't say that. So he's having to defend a movie he didn't make, and the movie was summarily dismissed, but it has become a cult classic, and I'm really glad because I think it's really funny, and it makes fun of everybody. There is nobody who gets off. No one. Everyone gets skewered in that, and at the end, I end up on a motorcycle in a relationship that's a threesome between Danny Trejo, Swissy Kurtz, and myself. And we're doing the thing, and we're getting on the bike, and Danny's in front. And he goes, "Scooch on up, man. I've been in prison. It's okay." It was hilarious. I mean, I laughed on that movie quite a bit, and it was really fun to play a character again, a silent character for the most part, which I've done a couple of times now, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, when I'm sad, I play that movie just because it lifts
Oh,
your
good. I'm
spirits.
glad.
Oh,
It's
so
just
good.
so silly. It's so silly.
And then again, your career, like I looked through the thing, and it's like these wild swings of different types of characters. Because in Zodiac, you're playing this could be a killer, might not be a killer, and I watched an interview of yours where you said the director had you play him as if he was not the killer, which was actually a question. Is like, was your character to be the killer or not to be the killer? So going into something like that, did you have an opinion one way or the other of how you wanted to play it, or you were willing to go wherever they needed you to go?
I mean, I think it's a combination of things. He gave me, he and the historian on the film, the only time I've ever been on a film where they had a historian. They gave me videotapes and transcripts and the two books and pictures and maps and locations, and they walked me through a timeline, a huge timeline that was taped to David Fincher's office wall, and where all the major suspects were at any individual time during the various murders. So it was exhaustive, and and Fincher as a director has earned trust. You're not going into it thinking, I can't trust that guy. So you do the work with the assumption that they know what they're doing. Back in Fargo, we were doing the first scene I did was at her office, and we were eating the Arby's, and the case interrupts it. My friend Bruce Bonney, who was playing the other Lou, the deputy, comes in and gives her some information, and I listened to the information in the rehearsals. I'm listening to the information, and Joel and Ethan are going, yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about it at all. And Fran and I had a conversation beforehand of how we met, and maybe this. And I said, well, we were thinking maybe, that he was a cop at one point. And he's like, no, that's not it. And you go, okay, well, I'll play this as I'll play. I can see I don't care. And when you watch the movie, you realize he doesn't care about her work, which means that she can see a foot in a wood chipper, and come home and never be asked about it, and be in a world of 3-cent stamps and duck paintings. And it allows her a safe haven, a warm place to live in a cold world. And with that's what that choice meant. Well, in Zodiac, he said, I'd like you to play these scenes as if he's innocent. It wasn't that Fincher thought the character was innocent. On the contrary, he makes a pretty definitive statement that it is Arthur Lee Allen at the end of the film. The last scene in the movie is him looking, Graysmith looking Lee in the eyes, and them both kind of dropping the facade of who they're pretending to be. And it was great to have history with Jake to do that scene, but it was also really funny because he's like, man, it's you and Chris Cooper. I seem to be coming around and seeing it again and again and again. That's pretty good company.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
And we're running short on time, and again, you have we've made it to 2007. This is as far as we've gotten so far. We're going to skip over Gran Torino, Shutter Island, The Founder, which I thought was phenomenal. You getting to play one of the original McDonald's. Awesome. We obviously got to touch on real quick American Horror Story. And I mean, your character, the character of Twisty the Clown, is like across the internet, beloved and I don't know what the word for it, feared, revered. People think it's one of the greatest scary killer villains in TV history. Going into it, were you apprehensive of playing this kind of twisted, demented character? Were you looking forward to it? What was your feeling going into it?
Well, Ryan Murphy, my manager called and said, Ryan Murphy would like to talk to you about American Horror Story. And I was like, yes, please. And he said, I want you to come and play the most terrifying clown in the history of television. He said, it's only a few episodes and he's mostly silent, but don't worry, it'll pay off. And, I said, yes, of course. I mean, of course I would do that. And it was a matter of trusting him and trusting everybody involved. But when you go on a set for those American Horror Stories, the art direction, the costume design, the makeup, the special effects is all A-list people. And from the very beginning, the image that they had for the character was the starting point of who the character was. And then watching Ryan direct, oftentimes you can tell by how a director's body is behaving while they give you the note. That's oftentimes how you get underneath it, that was certainly was true of Ryan. Ryan's body started to play the character that he wanted it to be. And so between those things, but it was amazing the response of people on the set. Like I was at lunch once with Michael Chiklis, and we were talking about something. I was in the makeup, and he stopped me in the middle and goes, "You know what? I can't talk to you anymore. This is too. Nope. He took a stray and walked out. He goes, "We'll have dinner some other time when you're not wearing that. I can't do it."
I mean, that tells you something.
Yeah,
'cause,
it really tapped into something. And people who have feelings about clowns, or people who have feelings about people in masks, which there's a lot of people, have such passionate responses to it. Like, I used to hate clowns until, or I used to hate clowns and I hate clowns even more, or I used to like clowns and I hate clowns now. And the American Clown Society was really upset about it. We're not all sociopathic killers, everybody. And it's like, yeah, we know, but we think you are. We're pretty sure you are.
Mathematically,
sure. There's one or two that aren't, but come on, most of you got to be, right?
In any given population, there's a small percentage that are
one or two people
crazy
who aren't sociopathic killers. Exactly.
And is there something? Okay, like, we live in a society, right, where we have to follow rules and we have to follow laws and we have to behave a certain way, and is there something I can imagine freeing of playing an unhinged character, a person that lives outside morals and laws and just does what they want? Is there something freeing about that?
Yes. Yes. But the best part about it is that nobody gets hurt when you're doing it.
Well, sure.
Right? Like, I was on a movie called Paul, and we blew up a house on the movie. They blew up a house. So they're going to blow up this house, and they've got cameras set up and remote cameras set up. And, the entire cast and crew and the office staff and everybody is now a half a football field or more away. And you see the light, you feel the blast, and you hear the sound. And there's a house, boom, no house. Like, that's how fast it was gone. And I've never seen 200 people happier than that. But you've been in places where that happens for real, and it is not funny, and it is not fun. One of the reasons why it was fun is nobody was there. Yes, and I'm sure there's a lot of fun to destroy things. That's fun. Sure it is.
Yeah.
But it also has consequences, and in that case, there were no consequences.
Yeah.
So when I'm stabbing somebody, as Twisty the Clown, I'm stabbing a piece of wood. Everybody, it's just I'm gleefully stabbing a piece of wood, which is a lot easier than stabbing a human being.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so for most of us.
We're out of time, and I have so many questions. Maybe in the future we can bring you back, because again, you have such an incredible career, and there's so much to dive into. One last question, just because I'm fascinated by this. You've been married since 1997.
Yes.
What's the secret to a long, happy marriage?
As my brother-in-law said, not getting divorced. That's the key to any long marriage. Don't get divorced. My wife is an incredible person and has dealt with a lot of problems that I have created. And it's all marriages are a work in progress, and they're a daily choice. And we've chosen over 35 years each day to stay married. So, hopefully tomorrow we'll say yes again.
Every day you got to say yes. I love it.
Every day you got to say yes.
Is there anything? I mean, again, we cracked not even half your amazing career. Is there anything upcoming that you want people to look out for or promote?
On HBO, there's a wonderful series by the people who made Veep called White House Plumbers. It's about the Watergate break-ins. I think it's going to be fantastic. I made a movie with Mario Van Peebles called Outlaws. I don't know when that's going to be. It was the first Western I've ever done. That was really fun. And I just did ADR today for what's presently called the Untitled Pregnancy Project, directed by Pamela Adlon and starring Alana Glazer. And I'm not gonna butcher her name, but she's a wonderful comedian who's Michelle. I'm not going to do her last name because I'm going to say it wrong. But she was great, and I think the movie's going to be really funny. What I saw today was really fun.
Oh, that's exciting! I can't wait to watch it. White House Plumbers has also been on my list for quite some time. I've known about it, and I'm excited to see that. Do you have you want to plug your social media? Where can people follow you, reach you?
People can follow me at Mr. JC Lynch on Instagram and Twitter for the time being. I don't know when that'll end or what's going on there, but I enjoy following people, and it's fun still. So Twitter and Instagram are primarily my things, and they're both at Mr. JC Lynch.
Outstanding. We got to get you back in the future, talk about more of your projects and more of the things you're doing, and dive even deeper into your career. This has been just a joy for me. Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this.
You.
The audience has loved every minute of it. They've been hanging on every word of yours and all your jokes. All of them landed.
All of them. All three landed. Of those were nailed.
Nailed it. You still got the comedic timing, brother. You still got it. All right, guys. Stay tuned for more show. I'm going to toss it to break. I'm going to say goodbye to our guest, and we'll be back with more right after this. I'll give you go ahead. Take it away. Say bye to the audience, and we'll toss it to the break.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming to see the show, and stay through the break.
All right, guys. This is John Carroll Lynch. We'll be back with more.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, right? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, would you think because the show is going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me told you
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Woo! Let's bring on our amazing co-host of the evening, Mr. Mad Mike. And your camera's not working for some reason. That's okay. I'll fix it. But hey, Mike.
Hey.
They can't hear you, so.
Can't hear me either.
Yeah. I
Great
can't hear
start.
you. Great start. I don't know why. The camera didn't update. That's all right. Give it a second. There he is. Hi. Welcome to the
Hi.
show. Welcome back. So
I'm glad
that
you still
was
know how to work the internet.
one of these years. I'll figure out how to work this thing. That was the incredible John Carroll Lynch. Thoughts, sir?
That was great. Like the whole couch aspect.
Yeah, it was like it was very comfortable. Very
Yeah.
comfortable. He seemed
Like his acting. He's always like a
great actor.
yeah.
And like he said something and it really hit me, and like just the idea that like not necessarily like, oh, you become the actor, right? Because there's very method. And I was gonna ask him this, and I got on a different topic, but like you have those actors that are like, oh, super method. I've got to live and breathe this guy, even when I go to the bathroom and like all this and all that. But like, I don't know, just the way he plays his characters. The best way I can describe it is like he believes he's that person, right? Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
I am this character. Like I am this person. I'm not just acting like this person. Like I am this person. And it,
Yeah.
and
And I feel like he does it as he's walking. Like, oh, I got this gig. They told me about it in the car ride over, and now I'm this person as he shows up.
yeah, he just gets out of the car like I'm the guy.
I got this.
But man, obviously you can tell just how passionate he is about his craft, and doing it for as long as he is. I mean, how could you not be?
Have to be. Yeah.
I'm sure he's gonna be one of those journeymen who in his 90s he's still appearing in movies and TV and just has such a passion for it and such an ease about it. And I like I said, I could have kept him here for 2 more hours talking.
Yeah.
What an amazing career. I think we only made it up to like 2007 or 2008 of his career. We didn't even make. He's done a ton of shit since then. Yeah, we'll do a part 2 where I can dive into where we did the first half of your career. Let's do the back half.
Yeah. He's gonna do 300 more projects between now and then. So good luck with that.
All right, it's gonna be a 6-part series of the career of John Lynch. Every time he comes back, I'm like, dude, you gotta stop. You gotta stop.
You can't catch up.
I can't catch up, man. I'm doing decades at a time, and I can't catch up. But yeah, that was a real fun conversation. Great guy. What was I gonna say? We were talking about, which by the way, it cracks me up that like he sat there, and I get his perspective of like, hey, again, being that actor, right? He wanted to immerse himself into what he was getting into, so he just drops in and he listens to us babble on for 25 minutes.
Well, threw us off. We're both like,
I didn't want to say nothing,
the
but I'm like,
guys in the room.
I'm like, it's like, you ever get the feeling somebody's watching you?
Can you block him out? Like, I put my hand over the screen. I was like, I don't see him.
Oh man. Yeah, he God bless him, man. Like, I like people that are prompt. Don't get me wrong. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. I like people that are prompt, but
40
like he
minutes
was
early, it's just throws the whole
he
show
was. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you noticed, but I sat up more proper.
off. Yeah, I perked up. I was like, well,
I was like,
I'm gonna keep doing what I do. I'm not gonna give Good Burger a good rating because he's in the room. It's a terrible movie, and they shouldn't make another one.
I'm gonna start using big words. I tried to start using like 3-syllable words instead of just 2, and really church up the joint. Make it. Yeah, we get into real philosophical discussions here on Pop Culture Warrior. Oh man, God bless. What a true
bash
man.
the whole DC universe while he's here.
He's like,
we're
fuck
not gonna
this
bash
guy.
the Drew Carey
Fuck that guy. Fuck that show. Like, I'm like,
what am I walking into here?
I like it too because
wrong
he said,
day to have
he goes, if
Mad
I don't
Mike
li-
on the show.
Yeah. He said, like, if I didn't like the vibe, I'll just be out. Like, that was basically what he said. He's like, I listen in if I didn't like it.
I thought he did leave because it kind of went black, and I was like, "Oh, we just ruined him." Now I'm gonna have to talk for another hour.
He turned off his camera before we went live, and I was like, I hope he didn't leave. I hope we didn't scare the guy off.
Man, my guy's a dick.
Oh man, that guy. I don't want to talk to him. All right. News-wise, there was a couple of other things I wanted to touch on, but it eludes me now, and I feel like we're on such a high that just let it go. Actually, here's something you might find interesting. We'll do one last story, and then we'll close it out for a night. Has to do with Call of Duty. For those that don't know, Microsoft did technically. It's just such a hard thing to say because they did propose an acquisition of Activision, which is the company that makes Call of Duty, and well. Activision makes more games than just Call of Duty, but Activision as a whole. Anyway, point is, they tried to purchase them. It was agreed on, but we live in a world where, like, I want to buy your thing, and you go, okay, I'll sell you my thing. But then comes in, like, Sony claiming monopolization and tries to stop the whole thing and goes to courts, and there's a whole thing, and there has to be reviews and all these things to see if it'll be sanctioned as a purchase. And obviously a lot of people on the Sony side are like, oh my God, if they buy Activision, fucking Call of Duty is going to become an Xbox exclusive. And they'll never get Call of Duty, which, and I've said this before, it would make no sense for Microsoft to be like, well, Call of Duty is an Xbox exclusive. They would lose so much money. Like, don't get me wrong. They would gain a little bit because there would be those Sony fanboys who are like, well, I got to jump over to Xbox. But the amount of people that were like, fuck them, I just won't play Call of Duty, like, they'll lose so much more than just saying it's for everybody. We just want to own it. You know,
I don't think they would. People would drop PlayStation in a heartbeat, and they would benefit so much more from switching over to Xbox. Call of Duty is like the #1 game in the world.
True.
And we would probably get better players because, you know, better players use Xbox and PC.
Obviously, the better pure gamers use Xbox.
But I think you sent me that thing where the PlayStation's like, oh, you guys have all these exclusives, and Microsoft's like, we have 2, you guys have 30.
Yeah.
They literally read them off, and it's like, we share everything except for 2 games. You guys share nothing. So
and that's exactly
it. And a boo-boo, stick your head in doo.
That's exactly it. Microsoft goes, look, we own a lot of them, but very few of them are exclusive. You know, whereas Sony's the one that, you know, Metal Gear Solid and Uncharted and Spider-Man and God of War and Last of Us, and like, you could run the crazy list of games that are exclusive
for the longest time.
For the longest time, only recently, like Metal Gear Solid, only recently became a game that you could play on Xbox. So anyway, the news with this potential acquisition was that the Xbox head boss guy, Phil Spencer, he revealed that, look, if this goes through, the way the company plans to handle exclusive content for Call of Duty, he basically outright denied any plans for there to be exclusive content. So not just that it's going to be a Xbox exclusive, like that's off the board. He said, look, it'll be for everybody. Not only that, we're going to bring it to, he said they plan to bring it to freaking Nintendo, Direct or whatever the Wii U.
Plus,
whatever it is.
I think it's Nintendo Plus.
Yeah, Nintendo Plus.
The Switch.
Whatever the Nintendo Switch thing is, like they want to bring it there. Like he says, that's how least exclusive we want it. We're going to push it out to more systems. He also said there's no plans for exclusive content. So like, oh, if you have it on the Xbox, you'll get the 3 extra maps and the 2 extra guns. He said there's no exclusive content. Once they take ownership of the franchise, every platform will get the exact same experience across the board. No one will get exclusive guns, skins, missions, or anything else. He also noted that he wants to treat Call of Duty the way they treated Minecraft. Because remember, when they bought Minecraft, people lost their shit. They're like, oh, well, now it's going to be Xbox only. And da-da-da. He said he hopes PlayStation players don't feel like they get any lesser version of the game just because it's owned by Xbox, as there's no difference to the content. Now, of course, the only notable difference here would be that Call of Duty would be available on Xbox Game Pass day one. That's the thing. And I think that's what they hang their hat on, because they go, PlayStation users will have to pay their $70. But if you're an Xbox Game Pass member for your whatever it is, $20 months a month, $30, I don't even know what it is at this point. But if you're a Game Pass owner, you're gonna get every Call of Duty day one free out the box. That's a huge
minor
win.
Plus.
That's a huge win.
Yeah, don't buy a crappy system. So come on over. That's your fault. You'll wait 2 weeks and then you play, and then we'll be better, like always. We're better day one, anyways. And then we'll annihilate you, and you can cry. And be like, oh, how did you beat me? And it's like, because my system's better than yours. And in a boo boo, stick your head in doo doo.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
But it's, you can
Go ahead.
meet me on Xbox. I'll be on DMZ.
Catch me outside, bro. Catch me in Al Mazrah, in Ashika Island.
But no, it's like you said that, and they'll make so much more money. They made so much money on Minecraft. They still make money. Microsoft is about the money. PlayStation's like, oh, we make shitty movies and we make shitty phones. We make shitty consoles. Let's limit all our stuff because we don't like money. And Microsoft is like, we have everything. Have you had to buy Microsoft Office? Shit's expensive.
So, okay. And on the next big board of people that won't be on the show, Sony. Anybody involved with Sony? I'm going to create a bingo card. How many people can you alienate? It's like,
we can't have Mad Mike on the show anymore because we will have no guests.
Free Space, Sony, Kel from Good Burger. Oh, I got bingo. Right down the middle.
We'll have Microsoft. We'll have, what's his name? It's the Microsoft guy.
Phil Spencer?
Bill Gates.
He's the Microsoft guy. I was talking about the Xbox guy. Yeah.
Same thing.
Let me clear my schedule for Bill Gates. But speaking of upcoming guests, boy howdy, do we have a packed slate, like an absolutely packed slate, and not counting some of the people I've got in the pipeline who are I'm super excited about. Some
TBDs.
Some people that like will bring the house down. Let's just say that, like, there's some notable people coming down the line. But for now, next week we have an incredible voice actor, Josh Keaton, who's voiced in Marvel's What If. He was Steve Rogers, Captain America. Well, not Captain America because it was What If, but Steve Rogers in Marvel's What If. He's also voiced Spider-Man in a number of Marvel properties. April 4th, we have, oh God, I'm excited for this one, Vincent Vargas from Mayans MC. He's one of the Mayans guys, the biker guys. He was also part of like the Vet Bros and like the what was it, the Range 15 guys. Like he started out there. So he's a vet. He's a Marine. Marine? Shit. Marine or Army? Army.
Big difference.
I don't know. I know he was a drill sergeant at one point.
But
anyway, Vince Vargas,
drill sergeant's Army. So.
Rocco himself is coming on April 18th. Super, super excited for this one. We've got the comedian Brad Williams going to be joining us.
Ooh.
That one's going to be, oh man, I'm excited for that one. Oh God, I'm excited for that one because he's
hilarious.
Fucking funny.
My buddy just saw him in Vegas.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I wanted to go out there, but tickets were too much.
He's so funny. So we've got him coming on April 18th, and then he's going to be local. He's going to be at the DC Improv April 27th. So like less than 9 days later. And I've got tickets. So I'll be linking up with him after he comes on the show, and then after he does it. So he'll see what I do, and then I'll see what he does, and then we'll compare notes afterwards. We'll see who was funnier.
Tell him to come to Florida more.
I'll let him know. I'll drop him a note.
Yeah.
Currently on the schedule, May 2nd, we have David Sobolov. He's another voice actor. You would know his voice if you watch CW's The Flash. He's been the voice of Gorilla Grodd, the big digital gorilla. And he's done, a number of like DC animated stuff, Marvel animated stuff, number of voices, but definitely the big one I like is Gorilla Grodd, bringing the Arrowverse into the stage. And as I'm being noted yes, there's a few of us from the WTF Empire that will be going to that show, not just me. I didn't mean to imply it was just me. There's a few of us going. I'm just saying I'm the host of the show. So that's what
Are they sitting on stage right next to him?
pretty much, right? He's going to bring me on stage. It's not a big deal. He's going to bring me on stage. I'm going to upstage him, and tell him a couple jokes, and it's fine. I'm opening for him.
5 minutes of comic.
I'm opening.
5 minutes.
Shut your mouth. An open is an open. It's not about how long you last. It's about how good those minutes were.
Those seconds.
And the last one we have currently locked in is May 23rd. I know this is a bit out there, but to prep for a special Memorial Day, we've got a legendary actor, Joe Mantegna, is going to be joining us May 23rd. It will be pre-recorded, but it will be awesome. I promise. So with that, let's, here, I'm going to put up a graphic. Here's what we got coming around the station these days. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. If you're not, just suck it up. You know what the drill is. Sundays here at WTF Nation Radio, we've got the Sports Bar with the actual King Smith giving us all the latest. When he decides to show up, who am I to talk, right?
He's got like you. Yeah, he took lessons from you. This is the longest, most shows you've done. And like, this is your third year, and you've done more than your first 2 years in the beginning.
Hey, you shush. I'm going to mute you here in a second. So we got the Sports Bar on Sundays, giving you all that great sports stuff, talking about what's happening in the world of sports. Great stuff by King Smith and the coach. Monday is the Monday edition with Ice and co-host, doing all the great things that are happening in news, government affairs, commentary, regulatory stuff, talking all the politics and what's happening in the world. If you want the news, they'll give you the news with the classic Ice slant. Tuesdays is right here, Pop Culture Warrior with CQ and guest and other guests that come on to talk about me and our guests.
If I'm not busy.
If
this is us gets rebooted, I'm out. They brought it back.
We're gonna do
too busy.
The prequel spinoff about the nephew's cousin. That was the mailman. Wednesdays here at the show, we have the Smoke Pit, which my former co-host, who I miss dearly, Radar. Now I'm stuck with these plebs. Radar and TZ's got the Smoke Pit. What's happening? It's like the 84 Mafia had a TV show. That's what that is, and it's a good time. Thursdays is Sergeant's Time. I think the name is pretty self-explanatory. And Friday is Friday Night Freedom, where we're talking about all the fun stuff, man. They get to like, do everything. It's the catch-all. It's the Amazon of the shows, where it's just like anything you want, it's there. They'll talk about anything, anytime, anywhere. It's awesome. That being said, I think we're good to call it a night, man. How you feeling, Mike? How's things? How's tricks?
They're fine.
Yeah.
I'm a man of many words. Oh,
how's
good.
How's your OnlyFans going? Your OnlyFans.
Yeah, it's on fire. I got 3. I got more than you. More viewers on that than on this show. 3 people, 3 subscribers.
Yeah.
I think you're one of them.
I'm 2 of them. I like it so much. I bought it twice. I bought 2 subscriptions.
This guy's great. He just posts blurry pictures like he has a Nokia.
Oh God.
No, I'm good. I'm tired. We went to California last week.
I know, man.
To Disneyland. We usually go to Disney World every weekend.
Let me ask you this: you are a frequenter of Disney World. It is in your
basically bought Marvel with how much I go to Disney World.
That's how they paid for Marvel.
You people are welcome.
The
Literally
Mad Mike
gave
family.
them the $500 million to buy Fox
Yeah. Yeah.
and Marvel.
So
But
you're a frequenter is the the nice way of saying it to the Disney World.
I'm
Was
broke.
this
Yeah.
was this your first experience at Disneyland?
Yes.
Thoughts?
It was great. It's completely different. They have a lot of the same rides. They're named the same, but they're like completely different than Disney World rides. Pirates of the Caribbean, even It's a Small World, which here it's like just really like lame, annoying ride you wait forever for, and you get on it, you're like, why did I get on? I always take a nap. It's like- but there, it's like this whole castle. You're in a boat. Like it's cool. Even pirate. Everything has like different aesthetics. It's a whole different experience. So it was cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot more crowded because they only have the 2 parks there, which is annoying. But yeah, it was worth it, I guess. You know, the kids and the wife liked it, so that's
Yeah.
all that matters.
They have, because I don't think the Disney, I always sometimes get them. I know Disney World doesn't have Avengers Campus, right? That's
Oh,
Disneyland
that's
exclusive.
Disneyland. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Universal signed like a 50-year deal with Marvel for they built the Marvel section at Universal Studios Orlando.
Mhm.
So they can't put any Marvel stuff at Disney World. So we went
That's
there. That was really cool. They did a great job. We did they have a Spider-Man like 3D ride, and you gotta like shoot. And yeah, I found a way around that. I gave him the old FU, just lit him up.
nice.
Got a good score doing that, but they did a really good job. You get a
Yeah.
lower score if you do the classic.
Sure.
Anyways, but yeah, they have a lot of Marvel stuff there, a lot better than Universal. It's just like Warner Brothers of theme parks.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it was fun.
so I mean, again, I'm sure you don't know the ins and outs of it. So Universal can do it in Florida, and Disney can't, but they're totally fine to do it in California.
Yep.
It is just
It's because the
state-
contract with Universal was only like for Florida. Like they have the
Oh.
Incredible Hulk coaster at Universal Orlando. They have It's a whole Marvel section they built. Like
Yeah. But it's not.
Disney.
I think the
Universal
difference
just
is
built Mario
it's Marvel Comics
comics Yep.
versus Marvel MCU,
Marvel
which
Studios,
Disney
yeah.
owns. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it is. But they already had that deal, so they're like, we're not gonna get rid of it. It's like one of the main things people go there for is that and Harry Potter. So
Yeah.
I think they have it for a while, but that's why we have we have the it's like Star Wars Land here, which they had there too, and it's exactly the same. But the hotel, they have the
Yeah, the one you stay in for like 3 days and don't leave.
and it's like $7,000
Yeah,
a
it's
night. It's
crazy
ridiculous.
expensive.
But it's like you're on a galactic
Star
cruiser, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have that here, which I don't know. I don't if someone wants to donate that to me, I'll take it. But I'm not gonna pay $5,000 a night to stay there. It's like 2-night minimum too to do everything. So $10,000, like my boat wouldn't be breaking down on the lake if I had that kind of money. And then Disneyland has they have a Marvel hotel or whatever you could stay in. It's like what's the ship they use in the movies?
The helicarrier.
Helicarrier type deal.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I recommend it if you're from East Coast and you've never been to California, definitely do that. It's when we looked at the maps, we're like, ooh, like 10 of the rides are exactly the same, but no, they're completely different. And yeah, it's what Walt created himself. Here,
Yeah.
he started it, and then Roy took
died.
over and
Yeah.
finished it. So it's like it's not as good. It's like
Yeah.
if Stanley died and then you or I started writing the comic books. It wouldn't be the same thing.
That's a big jump, but all right. No, that's cool. That's cool. Do you guys do like any of the classic like picture at the Hollywood sign or
No,
Santa Monica
we
Pier?
tried, but there was like they have this because we booked our trip in December, and we have bad luck. There's these freak like it's super cold. It was like 50 degrees every day and rainy. So we went to the Santa Monica Pier. We went to Griffith observatory, which is where you go to see the sign, and there was just like clouds all around. It was just white, like the back wall here. Couldn't see nothing. It's like, of course, we've only been planning this for like 3 years, but that's what happens. So we went there, but we don't have any pictures of anything. Didn't see nothing.
CGI, man. Photoshop, bro. Photoshop.
Yeah,
Picture you
we
there,
did.
and then you just digital the background.
Exactly. Like I've seen it on TV. It's cool. You were there. I'll just put my picture over your picture.
There you go. There you go.
But Universal was cool too. We did the backlot tour, which was pretty fun. We saw kind of driving around Universal backlots, like America's Got Talent's there, and
The Voice does theirs.
George Lopez shows there.
Wait, the one in Florida or the one in California?
California. We don't. The one here is fake. It's completely fake. There's no actual stuff filmed here.
Yeah.
So the one in California, which was cool because it's like, oh, these are actual sets or whatever or at least they put them there. I don't think they just put like the props there or whatever. But
yeah,
it was cool. Like,
did you guys drive to the from Back to the Future, the town square?
No, because they switch it out. But we got to see the cars. Like we saw Biff's car, a couple of the cars from Back to the Future 2 where they're in the future.
Yeah.
But no, it was we went through, we saw AGT, you do like the King Kong thing. We saw the cars. They were setting up for American Ninja Warrior. So it's all blocked off. They do that on a set there. It looks like they're in a city, but it's it's a fake city, and they set up the scaffolding and stuff for the show, which is pretty funny. I just thought it was like, oh, they're actually in a city and wherever, and it's like, no, they're in Universal Studios, California.
Well, I think that's the Hollywood episode. So they say like it's filmed on the back lots of, film studio. That's the whole point. Like sometimes they'll do it in downtown
I don't listen
Denver
when they talk.
I watch that show. I just want to see people break their neck.
No, they did that, and then they had like Jaws, and they did Fast and the Furious, which was super lame. And then Nope, they had Nope stuff there, and War of the Worlds. I think that one's been there forever.
Yeah.
And then some. They had like a town where they film all the westerns. They did Nacho Libre and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They filmed there, which is cool. They're like, oh, look, it's all concrete. And then they're like, you know how they make it look like Western Town? They just dump dirt all over it.
Pretty much.
I was like, oh, that's makes sense.
That's kind of how it's done. Yeah, I was telling you before that a friend of mine works at the studio. He's a writer at one of the shows. And so the last time I was in LA, he's like, oh, come by. I'll give you a tour of the lot. And it's so weird because, we're walking in. It's like, this is a real lot. This is a movie lot. You're walking by like, oh, there's Superstore shot right there. And The Voice is shot right there. And then you hear, meep. And it's one of the trolleys. And it's coming from the park.
From
and
Universal,
I'm like, yeah. And I'm so used to the Florida version where it's all staged, it's all fake, that I was like, oh shit, they like really, he's like, yeah, there's the gate and it comes out of the park. They do the loop and then it goes back into the park. And I'm like, that's so weird. It's not like people taking pictures of me as I'm walking and thinking I'm
like, who's
somebody.
that guy?
I was like, yeah, it's kind of a big deal, man. I'm walking here. Hey, I'm walking here.
Get out of my way.
Get out of my way. Where's my latte? Just yelling. Where's my PA?
And they tell you on that too. They're like, it's a working lot. You may run into Vin Diesel, like when one of like the movies, he was giving out merchandise for to the people on the trolleys at Universal. So
yeah, they do that stuff.
That was the best part. And now they have Mario Super Nintendo World.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I didn't wait the 3 hours for the ride. It's like I guess it's like a Mario Kart ride.
Yeah.
But we got.
That's the new thing. Yeah, that's the new thing.
Got to go into the world. You have to like get a queue, and you wait 5 hours, and you go in, and it's cool. It's well done. I liked it. So.
Well, I mean, it's the newest thing. It better be the most well done thing because they finished, I think, Avengers Academy or whatever it's called, like a year or two ago. I remember it was during the pandemic, and then yeah, they just finished the Mario stuff like a couple months ago.
You're talking about Disney and Universal.
I'm just saying that there are two things that were done recently. That's all I'm saying. Not at the same place.
It's cool. It was fun. I like Super Mario, so I didn't like that. Like, oh, you can buy a mushroom guy for $50 or whatever. I thought that was kind of lame.
Of course. I mean, you got to make money. I mean, at those cheap prices, of the theme parks, they got to make money somehow.
Right. I mean, they're barely making ends meet.
Barely making me. Attendance is down to like 18 billion people. So you got to make that money somehow. But it is what.
In California, they weren't open. We were open here. All Universal here was letting everyone in. Well, we don't care about rules. Disney was like, we'll do 20% capacity. Universal's like, we're at 150.
We'll take all the leftover.
You could bring a guest for free in here. We don't care. Everyone gets COVID. That's how we stop it. They're going to ruin it for everyone.
All right. But anyway, now that we've officially got rid of everyone watching the show, this breakdown.
Guy's talking about his vacation. You don't want to hear this.
Guy's talking about his vacation. Don't give a shit. Nobody cares. But all right, we did the round table. We did the queue up of guests that are coming on. I'm thinking, for those of you that are hanging in there, I was hoping. So last week we had Sean Kanan on. Super awesome dude. What a nice guy. What a great guy. Hooked me up with some books and some signed headshots and things. It's in the mail. I was hoping it would be here by today so I could be like, look guys, here's the books and headshots and we're going to do a giveaway and whatever. It's not here yet. So when it does get here, great.
Pete will win it again.
One last plug, PCWgear.com. You can get super cool things like CQ wristbands or Pop Culture Warriors shirts or hats or the shirt that the guy. I'm gonna order one. I'm gonna order my own. They tell you don't
someone's gotta buy it.
Don't sample your own merch, but I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna have one of these shirts, and then I'll bring my old military blouse and like fucking do like a thing, make a thing out of it. But whatever. But PCWgear.com, obviously you can set the prices. I don't make a fucking dollar on any of that shit. What you pay goes to that company. I'll be honest. I'll tell you behind the scenes, they recommend like sell these shirts for $40 so you can make $20 profit. I'm like, I turned that shit down to practically zero. I think you can't make it zero. So I get like 40 cents on any item that's purchased. So it ain't about me getting money. I just want to give cool shit to you guys and give you an opportunity because people ask me, oh, where can I get a hat? Where can I get a shirt? Where can I get fucking socks or whatever? I don't know. It is what it is. That being said, thank you guys for hanging in there. Thank you guys for just shooting the shit with us as we talk about our vacations. If
someone, than some of the stuff we've had on here.
If someone was doing some cool shit, they should have maybe posted pictures behind the scenes of like Super Mario Land and Avengers Campus. If only they had posted pictures in a place that gathers things that are cool in pop culture. I mean, I don't know. That might have been cool.
Yeah, if only I had I don't know. My wife does that stuff. I don't work the internets, man. I'll send them to you. You can upload them.
Fine. Whatever.
I'm a Marine. We don't work the internet.
Because I don't have enough shit that I do for this goddamn show. I should do that too. Anyway. I gotta figure out why that fucking light keeps turning off. I don't know what goddamn.
I don't know. It's like probably got a rat chewing through your wires over there.
Fucking possessed.
Splinter. Damn it. Stop chewing my wires.
Fucking. Anyway. Patrick, right. Heath, all you guys that are hanging in, thanks for watching. Pete, Scott, God bless you. Heath, you're awesome. As always, thanks for watching the show. We do this because we love it and we like hanging out with y'all. Y'all make it worth it.
Ooh, I meant to tell you that too. They had a a very bad scepter there. So you got a good deal on Amazon. Went to the Avengers Campus store, and the one was all plastic, and it looked terrible.
Yeah, that thing right there, that Loki scepter is,
yeah.
it's badass. It's heavy as fuck. Everybody I hand it to,
Yeah.
because I pretend like it's light. So I'm like, yeah, check it out. And they're like, huh. They just,
I didn't expect it to weigh that much. Yeah.
it's
You're like,
heavy.
you want to take a picture with this? I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll wait. I'll wait.
Yep. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. Always a pleasure. Lots more coming up. The point I was getting to about the books, we're gonna be doing a giveaway soon. I got so much stuff, literally boxes just off camera of shit like I have to give away. I have to
see it over there in the dark.
Yeah, you can see it. They can't. Your camera's wider. They can't see this right here, over here.
Wow.
But anyway, thank you guys. Thank you to Mad Mike for hanging out with us as always. It's been a real joy and pleasure, sir, as always. Pete's over there giving you shit. What if CQ could get a better co-host?
Well, you get what you get and you don't get upset, Pete. Dick.
You take what you get and you like it. You do a better job, you do a show. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching.
Yeah,
Thank you for commenting. It's always a pleasure. Like Keith says, this is the part where I usually go, say goodnight, Radar, or say goodnight, Mike.
Good night, Mike.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Shots.
Doc! Oh, no! We're too late! We missed it! Oh, jeez, this is heavy. Ah, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Doc, I got a time machine. I'm just gonna punch in the coordinates. Pop Culture Warrior, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WTF Nation Radio. Now crank this bad boy up to 88 miles per hour.
Let's see it.